Chapter 179, Invited for a Treatment. The next morning, it was the 4th day of their 7-day holiday. After watching Xiaoyu practice her sword in the courtyard, Wang Xian came to the Divine Dragon Medical Hall at the old street. The medical hall had been closed for 4 days. Some of the calls from the hospitals were rejected by him too. Even though I have $500 million now, I must continue to work hard when I think of the resources required for Dragon Palace. Wang Xian opened the door of Divine Dragon Medical Hall, boiled a flask of hot water and poured himself a cup of tea with smiles. He lay there while waiting for patients to come to him. In less than 20 minutes, an ambulance siren was heard outside. Wang Xian had already called and instructed the hospitals to send those patients in need over on his way to the medical hall. Be careful. Careful when you shift to the bed. Here, no hurry. Doctor, is the miracle doctor here that formidable? If he wasn't that formidable, would I have taken you here? Speak no more after you enter. You need to abide by the rules. Otherwise, you'll bear the consequences. You should have found out about the reputation of the Divine Dragon Medical Hall these past 2 days. The conversation between the family members of the patient and the doctor was heard from the outside. One by one, 3 patients were brought in one shot. Wang Xian stood up and swept his gaze across the 3 patients. Payment first, and I guarantee your recovery. After his shout, he went to the patient and began his treatment. Miracle Dr. Wang. I brought my son here. Please take a look at him. At this point, a voice was heard. Bring him upstairs first. You need to queue for getting treatment. Wang Xian did not look back at him as he spoke. Maniac Ji was not displeased at all. He immediately signaled to the people behind him with gestures. The few of them nodded and carried a juvenile out from a car outside with care. The juvenile was 14 or 15 years old with rosy cheeks, and did not seem like a patient at all. However, the juvenile was unconscious with no signs of waking up. One could vaguely see the black bones of the juvenile. Wang Xian was treating another 3 patients. To avoid being watched, he got a few curtains in the room so that no one could see him from the outside. Maniac Ji watched everything Wang Xian was doing. Subsequently, he stood quietly at the side. The rest of the family members were standing at the side too. Is this the place? Divine Dragon Medical Hall, it should be here. I heard there's a new miracle doctor that entered the miracle doctor chart. Now he's ranked 18, so he should be quite skillful. He beat Feng Huazi to earn his ranking, but he has no cases to prove his reputation. Let's try and see if he can cure Big Brother's injuries. If not, we'll have to find the miracle doctor from the medical saint sect. Just then, there were a few middle-aged men talking outside the door. They were dressed uniformly with a wolf embroidered on their clothes. Is Miracle Dr. Wang around? Asked the 3 of them directly. When they stepped into the medical hall, they frowned when they saw that people were standing around in silence. Queue up if you're here for treatment. Wang Xian answered impassively when he heard the voice outside. The 3 of them were stunned and chuckled immediately. Dianlong sect would like to invite Miracle Dr. Wang to Rongzhou to treat our big brother. We'll reward you handsomely then. Rongzhou. Wang Xian was slightly taken by surprise, as no one had ever come to Rivertown to invite him for treatment. It looked like his reputation had traveled far, which was a good thing. I don't have much time these next 2 days. You can bring him over. Wang Xian smiled and replied. Rongzhou might not be far from here, but it would take 4 to 5 hours of traveling. He would waste a day if he traveled back and forth, which was a troublesome thing. The middle-aged man in the center knit his eyebrows slightly and said again, Miracle Dr. Wang, our big brother's injuries are quite severe. He's not fit to travel so far. I hope you can come along with us. How much are you paying if I cure him? Wang Xian asked immediately as he frowned. $20 million. So long as you can cure our big brother's injuries, we will pay you $20 million. Also, we'll provide those required herbs and spiritual medicines. The middle-aged man continued. $20 million. Wang Xian shook his head and declined. I'm busy. You. The middle-aged man was stunned as his expression turned awful. It was more than respectful for a first-class sect, Dianlang sect, here to invite a miracle doctor that was ranked 18. But the other party did not even give them any face. Besides, he did not even come out to show his face. Miracle Dr. Wang, we can negotiate the price again. You should at least show your face. You're not showing respect to us if you do this. The middle-aged man darkened his expression as he spoke to Wang Xian. Wang Xian, who was treating a patient inside with his azure dragon energy, frowned. Impatiently, he drew the curtain open and looked at the three of them outside. I'm busy. If you want to get treatment, bring the patient over. Make your choice, and stop interrupting my treatment of other patients. Wang Xian looked at the three middle-aged men and spoke without any patience. Fuck, it took us almost 5 hours to get here just to invite you over. Is this the right attitude? Your ranking isn't high, and you're fucking proud of it. How could you not give a face to Dianlang sect? A middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian with fury on his face. Looking at you, I don't think you deserve your reputation. You look so young. I wonder what means you used to win Fang Huazi. That's enough, third brother. Stop it. The middle-aged man in the center frowned slightly and waved his hand to stop him. He then looked at Wang Xian and coldly said, we heard about your reputation, and that you're young and promising. But you're such an arrogant fellow that you are not showing the Dianlang sect respect, even when we came here and invited you. Ha! Scram if you're not here for treatment. Just then, Maniac Ji's voice was heard from the side before Wang Xian could reply. He lifted his head and looked at the trio from Dianlang sect with immense killing intent in his eyes. The three of them froze as they spun around with nasty looks. An infuriating bellow sounded. Fuck you again. But when they saw Maniac Ji, they swallowed whatever words they had. Their eyes were wide open as they looked at him with disbelief. You are Maniac Ji. The three middle-aged men trembled all of a sudden as they revealed frightening expressions. Inborn expert, Maniac Ji, was well known for his name. They had even seen him before. Looking at the middle-aged man whose hair was long, and who was filled with a murderous aura, who else other than Maniac Ji could be here? They swallowed a mouthful of saliva with great fear in their eyes. Senior Ji, hello. We'll leave now. Like now. The trio was full of fear. They were well aware that Maniac Ji was a terrifying existence as he had once exterminated a first-class force all by himself. Even though Dianlang sect was also a first-class force, they were not that different from the one that Maniac Ji had exterminated. If their sect leader knew they provoked Maniac Ji, they would get slaughtered immediately just to appease Maniac Ji's anger. After all, Maniac Ji liked to do things based on his preferences, and he could kill anyone without batting his eyes. Chapter 180, The Treatment. The trio is so arrogant. The first thing they did was to demand Miracle Dr. Wang to follow them to Dianlang sect to treat their big brother. That guy with long hair looks so strong. The trio was terrified by just a sentence from him. Even the middle-aged man with long hair had to queue with his son for the treatment, and yet the trio dared to demand that the miracle doctor follow them to Rongzhou right away. Don't they know the rules here? How dare they still kick up a fuss here? At this moment, those around the group started to whisper to one another. As the trio overheard the conversations, their bodies stiffened. There was a flicker of fear in their eyes. Even the Maniac Ji brought his son here for treatment and queued patiently for his turn. Is he just a miracle doctor that ranked near the 20s in the ranking board? Even the miracle doctor that ranked 9 was murdered when he offended the Maniac Ji. We are sorry, Miracle Dr. Wang, we will scram immediately. Immediately. The trio left the place immediately with fear evident on their faces. Looking at the trio with slight disdain, Wang Xian shook his head slowly. It was human nature to bully the weak and be fearful of the strong. Ignoring this brief interlude, Wang Xian walked to the last person in the queue and continued with his treatment. After 5 minutes, he nodded with satisfaction and walked out. "Let's go take a look at your son," he said to Maniac G. "Yes." With a flicker of hope in his eyes, Maniac G nodded his head and followed Wang Xian up the stairs. At the second story, Maniac G walked to his son who was on the bed. His eyes were filled with love he had for his son. With determination in his eyes, he said, "Miracle Dr. Wang, I can promise you anything so long as you can cure my son." Wang Xian nodded his head and looked at the young man who was on the bed. "Haven't you looked for other skillful miracle doctors to treat him?" Maniac G replied in a solemn expression, "I once approached the ranked 4 miracle doctor. He told me that only the 10,000 years cleansing elixir could cure him." The 10,000 years cleansing elixir was considered to be level 7 or 8 spiritual medicine. Disregarding the chances of finding it, whether it really existed was a question. After hearing from the Maniac G, Wang Xian reached out and lifted the young man's arm. He felt a slight warmth from his arm and a faint glow emitting from his arm. However, one could also vaguely see that his bones had turned black. The toxins had already bound with his bones. Ordinary medical techniques couldn't possibly cure it. It would require a large amount of strong spiritual herbs to purge the toxins from the bones. While holding the young man's arm, Wang Xian injected a stream of azure dragon energy into his body. Through his senses, he noticed that the young man's bones were all pitched black. It looked horrifying. However, there was a sweet scent of spiritual medicine emitted from his body too. If it wasn't for the vast amount of spiritual medicine in his body, he would have died long ago. Maniac G told Wang Xian, "Although that miracle doctor did not cure Xiaoxiang's illness, he reminded me of a way to keep his life, using the body as medicine to suppress the toxins. For every cycle, I would need various spiritual grasses and decoct them into soup to feed him. Otherwise, he would be beyond curing if the toxin enters the body." If Wang Xian had not demonstrated the terrifying strength the previous day, Maniac G would not have bothered and wasted his time on a miracle doctor that ranked only 18th. He wouldn't have queued patiently and wasted his time explaining all this to him. As the energy of the azure dragon flowed into the young man's body, Wang Xian couldn't help but frown slightly. As he was still too weak, the energy of the azure dragon couldn't deal with the toxins in the body. These toxins are really vicious. The dosage of the toxins is horrifying too. As the energy from the azure dragon contacted the toxin, the energy was being neutralized at a terrifying speed. The toxins seemed to be alive and would attack the energy from the azure dragon frantically once they sensed it coming. This venom was released by a half-step to inborn expert just before he died. This venom that was released was sufficient to kill 10,000 people. As Maniac G spoke, he shook with wrath. There were signs of madness in his eyes. Wang Xian looked at Maniac G. With how it looked now, Maniac G was no doubt experiencing madness in his mind. If his son had died, Maniac G would likely fall into deprivation and become a real demon. "The situation is within control," Wang Xian said as he sent divine dragon energy into Xiaoxiang's body this time. SSSSSS. Wang Xian could hear burning sounds from the body of Xiaoxiang. He realized the concentrated toxins and the divine dragon energy were neutralizing each other. Although dragon energy was considered to be among the highest tier energies, the amount was limited. On the other hand, the toxin had been inside Xiaoxiang's body for several years and was deeply rooted in his bones. Nonetheless, neutralizing the toxins in his body was still possible with the dragon energy. 100, 200, 300. The dragon energy was being exhausted quickly. The amount of toxins in Xiaoxiang's body far exceeded Wang Xian's expectations. However, the expense of the dragon energy was nothing compared to what there was to gain. This. As he looked at the black toxin diminishing from his son's body at a pace visible to the naked eye, Maniac G's eyes lit up with excitement. He crouched beside the bed, hugging his own head. Wang Xian looked at Maniac G and thought to himself, even a crazy person has a soft spot in his heart. Wang Xian utilized both of his arms and emitted dense dragon energy from his body. At the same time, he was emitting the demeanor of a supreme emperor. Maniac G was in awe. Horror flashed in his eyes as he lifted his head and looked at Wang Xian. This aura. It's too strong. Puff. Alright, the toxins in your son's body have been removed. Wang Xian exhaled as he spoke. He had used up more than 2,000 points of dragon energy to cure Maniac G's son. This was a huge price to pay. Arg. Just as they spoke, Xiang started to murmur. With the help of the vast quantity of spiritual medicine in his body was recovering at a rapid pace after the toxins had been purged. In the future, if he started to cultivate, he could easily reach martial artist level 8 or 9. Xiang, my son, my dear son. Maniac G exclaimed in excitement. Wang Xian looked back at him while walking down the stairs. He wanted to give the father and son some personal time. As Wang Xian returned to the first story, the other 3 patients had left. He poured himself a new cup of tea and started drinking in his chair. The fragrance of the tea was what he liked. Bang bang bang. About 10 minutes later, footsteps were heard from above. Xiang, wait for me outside the medical hall. I will join you shortly. A fatherly love could be felt from Maniac G as he spoke. He was no longer in the state of madness. Yes, father, Xiang nodded as he walked out. Maniac G walked to Wang Xian and bowed deeply. Thank you, Miracle Dr. Wang. I will fulfill all your requests so long as you don't send me to die. I would still like to accompany my son for some time, he promised. As Wang Xian rose from his seat, he smiled at Maniac G and said, I need an astronomical amount of spiritual stones. I need a way for me to obtain them. Chapter 181, Ways of Obtaining the Spiritual Stones. I only have 50 pieces of spiritual stones. When Maniac G heard Wang Xian's conditions, he frowned as he did not have that many spiritual stones. Tell me, where did you get yours from? Asked Wang Xian to Maniac G directly. Underworld's missions. Spiritual stones are very precious items for cultivation use. They are the hard currency in the underworld. Hence, some of the top-notch sects and families use them to trade, Maniac G explained to Wang Xian. Missions? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows with doubts. Everyone in the world earns money to survive. It's the same for the underworld. There were many ways to do that, and it makes no difference, just like the modern world. But the underworld is more practical. You can log on to a website, and they have all kinds of missions. You can also set your own missions. All the sects and clans are gathered on the website. Maniac G looked at the computer next to him, and Wang Xian agreed. Maniac G got on the computer and logged into a special website. When he entered, the screen showed a message. With various sects and clans in the underworld, our heroes emerge. On the home page was all the various ranking charts. Underworld's outstanding experts, doctors, spiritual medicines, art of cultivation, young heroes, assassins, and more. The charts piqued the curiosity of Wang Xian. The happenings in the underworld were much to his surprise. He clicked the medical ranking with some interest and scrolled to the 18th position. A name was on it with some comments. Miracle Doctors chart number 18, Wang Xian. Age 20. Defeated Fang Huazi on September 17, this year. He crippled his arm and gained his fame overnight after this match. Replaced Fang Huazi's ranking, but his competence in medical skills remained unknown. He has a divine dragon medical hall at the old street, Rivertown. This evaluation is quite to the point. Wang Xian read the website with a face full of smiles. The founder of this website is Tianshao Sacred Sect. No one can beat them in terms of information. There is a space dedicated to all kinds of missions with about 400 to 500 missions daily. Some of them are easy, some of them are difficult. Each mission has different rewards. You can also publish your mission and trade your items on the platform. Maniac G introduced the website to Wang Xian formally. Then he hesitated. Since you want the spiritual stones, I can collect them for you. I'll give you 100 annually for 15 years. What do you think? Apart from that, you can command me whenever you need help. For the next 15 years, I'll obey your instructions. With 100 spiritual stones annually, that would make 1,500 pieces for 15 years. If these stones were converted into cash, it would be more than $100 billion. On top of that, the Inborn Expert service for 15 years was added to the price paid. You can collect as many spiritual stones as possible. If I have other needs, I'll find you again. Wang Xian waved his hand as he spoke to Maniac G. Yes. Maniac G hesitated before he nodded. Miracle Dr. Wang, I have some spiritual medicine with me. I'll get someone to send it over to you tomorrow. Sure. I'll give you an address later. You can deliver them to that place. Wang Xian nodded. I'll take my leave now. Maniac G bowed and left. Be it because of the power that Wang Xian displayed or the ability to cure his son, Wang Xian was someone who deserved Maniac G's respect. I didn't know there was such a website. How interesting. Wang Xian drew a smile on his face as he clicked on the outstanding experts of the underworld. The number 1 on the chart was Nie Wuhan, sect leader of Donghua Sacred Sect. Number 2 was Hai Jiao, an island owner. There were only 20 names on the outstanding experts chart. Most of them were aces from the sacred sects. There were 8 sacred sects in the underworld which stood tall within the country. Wang Xian read them with interest. Subsequently, he clicked on the missions page. There were all kinds of missions including assassinations, looking for bodyguards and seeking spiritual medicine. Moreover, Wang Xian discovered that many missions were related to foreign disputes such as competing against and even killing experts from other countries. There were some group missions for competing for some treasures. Unbelievable. It's amazing. Wang Xian browsed the individual tasks to think of how he could earn those spiritual stones. Currently, 2 ways could earn spiritual stones within the shortest possible time. One was to save people. Another way was to sell spiritual medicine in exchange for spiritual stones. Both methods were the fastest ways. Wang Xian preferred the second method. He just needed to spend over 10 hours to make some spiritual medicine to exchange for 400 to 500 pieces of spiritual stone. It should not be that difficult to get more than 10,000 pieces of them. Shao Xian. Just then, Guan Shuqing's surprising voice was heard from the outside. Wang Xian turned around with a smile on his face. Guan Shuqing, in a white skirt, had obviously made an effort to doll herself up. Her skirt, at knee length, was similar to a student's skirt, revealing a pair of fair and beautiful legs. She wore a shirt on top with her curvy bust lifted by her garment. Such an attractive beauty. What are you looking at? When Guan Shuqing saw Wang Xian's look, she rolled her eyes. But her face had nothing but smiles. Hee. Wang Xian giggled. I haven't seen you for a long time, so I missed you. Since I missed you, I just want to look at you. What a glib tongue. Guan Shuqing pouted her lips slightly as she walked to his side. Wang Xian shut his computer and stood up immediately. He walked to her and said, "Let's go. I'll bring you to the new house that I bought." Great, let's go. I want to check out the house. Guan Shuqing smiled and nodded. We need to go back to school to pick up my bike first. I drove today. My dad just bought me a car the other day. Great. Come to think of it, I'm not a good boyfriend. I haven't given you any presents before. Now you know. Should we go to the city center first to buy you some presents? Another day. I want to go to your house and see if you're keeping a mistress. Ha, how can it be? Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing laughed as they came to the car park. Guan Shuqing's dad had bought her a Maserati, which was costly too. Wow, it's so beautiful over here. A house with a sea view. Guan Shuqing walked into the villa and looked around in amazement. Wang Xian drew a smile on his face. Let's go. I'll take you to the roof. It's more interesting upstairs. Wang Xian brought Guan Shuqing to the roof with enthusiasm. It's so beautiful here. Standing on the roof of the villa, Guan Shuqing looked out to the sea and exclaimed with happiness. Hee hee, it's your home from now on. How is it? Do you like it? Guan Shuqing blushed slightly and did not answer. She kept observing the surroundings with joy. She ran happily on the roof, and her skirt was lifted slightly. Pink. Chapter 182, My Broadsword Is. Wang Xian expressed that his big D was thirsty. While admiring the beauty of Guan Shuqing, he had an idea in mind, and thoughts started flowing. Shuqing, let's go and swim in the sea. The weather today is the best and most comfortable for it. Wang Xian said with a smile to Guan Shuqing. Sure, Guan Shuqing replied happily. However, her expression soon changed to helplessness as she continued, I forgot to bring my swimsuit. I have some here. I asked Xiaoyu to buy for you when she was buying one. Come over, Wang Xian replied with a righteous smile. He then brought Guan Shuqing to the changing room. The swimsuits were definitely not bought by Xiaoyu. As an upright man, the swimsuits Wang Xian gave Guan Shuqing were all bikinis. Hee hee. This, Guan Shuqing was shocked as she replied, and her face quickly turned red from embarrassment. What happened? Wang Xian asked innocently. The swimsuit is too revealing. Why is it all? Guan Shuqing blushed as she asked while pointing to the wardrobe. Oh. That's true. This sister of mine. Why did she get swimsuits like these? What if others see my gorgeous Shuqing in these? That will be bad. However, don't worry about that. There aren't any outsiders here. How about you just wear it now? Wang Xian explained while pushing the blame to his younger sister righteously. There was a flicker in Guan Shuqing's eyes and the blush spread to her neck. She nodded her head slightly and replied, all right. She shivered as she took a swimsuit. After which, she said to Wang Xian, go out first. Fine, I will go out. Wang Xian nodded and smiled. He then walked out. Wait. However, at this moment, Guan Shuqing called out to him. Wang Xian was stunned for a moment and curiously turned his head around. He saw Guan Shuqing blushing as her eyes started to flicker. She pouted, stared at Wang Xian and asked, will your younger sister get this type of swimsuit? Wang Xian looked at the swimsuit Guan Shuqing was holding. The swimsuit was skimpy and even had a hole at the bottom. He recalled the recommendation the boss gave when he was buying. Wang Xian's expression changed drastically as he shouted, Xiaoyu, I asked you to buy a swimsuit. Look at what you've bought. What is this? He walked out as he pretended to be angry. On the way, he closed the door. Bam! TSK. Guan Shuqing snorted after she saw through Wang Xian's act. She then gave a supercilious look as she changed for another swimsuit. Big brother, what are you talking about? Didn't you choose the swimsuits yesterday? Xiaoyu asked. What? What are you saying, Xiaoyu? Why aren't you training? Wang Xian retorted. At this moment, Guan Shuqing overheard the conversation vaguely. PFT. Guan Shuqing could not hold back her laughter further. She then looked for a swimsuit that looked comparably normal. Wow, you're so gorgeous! Wang Xian exclaimed. He was lying below the sunshade umbrella. When he saw her walking over, he went up to her to welcome her. TSK. Guan Shuqing rolled her eyes. She wore a black swimsuit, and because the swimsuits Wang Xian bought were only able to cover the important parts, it was exceptionally appealing to the eyes. Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he walked over, pretending that the previous events had not happened. He said, "Let's go and swim in the sea. We can slide down from the slides from the third story. It's really interesting. Come, let me help you." Okay. Today's weather looks great. Guan Shuqing looked up at the sun happily and replied. Yes, the weather is great today. The seawater is very clear too. Let me help you. Wang Xian replied as he walked over, rubbing his hand. He then extended his arms around Guan Shuqing. While enjoying the skinship with Guan Shuqing, Wang Xian was really satisfied with his choice of swimsuit. This is great. You. Guan Shuqing blushed suddenly as she said, "You. Can you just use your hands to help me? You don't have to hold me by the bottom too." Wang Xian was stunned. He looked down immediately and saw his little brother sticking out to help Guan Shuqing. Embarrassment was soon written all over his face. "I'm in the prime of my youth." He replied while forcing a laugh. After which, Guan Shuqing kept a distance from Wang Xian. She looked at the slide and sat on it enthusiastically. Wang Xian followed behind her. While swimming in the seas, the only shame Wang Xian felt was that Guan Shuqing knew how to swim. Otherwise, it would have been perfect. After playing in the sea until 5 p.m., Wang Xian felt hot all over his body. "You can just stay over for the night." At dinner, Wang Xian regained his serious looks and continued, "We have a lot of rooms here. Why don't you just stay behind for the night?" Guan Shuqing hesitated. "There is a family theater in this villa. Let's watch some movies tonight," Wang Xian replied as he saw Guan Shuqing hesitating. Time to strike the metal while it's hot, he thought. Yes, it's possible, but... Guan Shuqing looked at Wang Xian and hesitated. In the end, she did not say what she was thinking of. Wang Xian made a big grin. Xiaoyu was eating her food at the side while looking at her own brother. She felt that her elder brother had changed and had become a pervert. After dinner, Wang Xian left Guan Shuqing in the living room to rest while also asking Xiaoyu to chat with her. He immediately rushed to the family theater and made a call. Dahai. Hurry up. Send me the seeds. Wang Dahai, who had just picked up the call, was bewildered. He was having dinner with his family and questioned, "What seeds are you talking about? Can you be clearer?" "Japan's seeds." Wang Xian exclaimed. His broadsword was already thirsty beyond words. He must succeed tonight. Suddenly, Dahai noticed silence over the dining table. He lifted his head gradually and saw his parents. "What nonsense are you spouting? I already have a girlfriend. I have already confessed to Su Qian and she agreed to it." Wang Dahai walked towards his room as he replied to Wang Xian. "What a good brother you have been." Wang Xian praised. Wang Xian saw the few seeds that Wang Dahai sent over. He gave a vile smile on his face as he started to meddle with the player. The family theater was connected to the internet. There were a few comfy sofas at the center of the room and they could fit a family. Wang Xian slotted the files from Wang Dahai behind Detective Chinatown and selected the autoplay function. Wang Xian laughed vilely and revealed a satisfied look. He returned to the living room and talked briefly to Guan Shuqing and Xiaoyu. At around 8 o'clock, Elder Feng pulled Xiaoyu away for training. "Let's go, Shuqing. Let's go and watch a movie." Wang Xian said to Guan Shuqing with a smile. All right. Oh. Which room will I be staying in tonight? Guan Shuqing asked. Just a room on the third story will do. We have plenty of rooms here. Wang Xian replied with a smile. Let's go. Guan Shuqing nodded with a smile as she replied. We should sleep after the movie. Shall we go shopping tomorrow? Sure. No problem. I will get some gifts for you tomorrow. This is also my duty as your boyfriend. Wang Xian replied. You promised. Guan Shuqing exclaimed. Naturally. Wang Xian smiled as he brought Guan Shuqing to the family theater on the third story. Let's watch Detective Chinatown. Have you watched it before? Wang Xian asked. Not yet. Let's watch this movie. The reviews for it are great. Guan Shuqing replied. Wang Xian nodded his head and the two of them sat on the sofa. He held Guan Shuqing in his embrace lightly throughout the movie. Guan Shuqing did not push him away and she leaned on Wang Xian. It was warm and romantic. The movie started soon after and it was a good comedy show. Guan Shuqing was amused by it. As the movie was ending, Guan Shuqing commented joyously, "This movie is so funny, what a great movie." Yes. It was a great movie. Wang Xian replied while squinting his eyes at Guan Shuqing as the movie ended. It's already 10 p.m. Time for bed. Guan Shuqing said shyly when she noticed Wang Xian staring at her. Let me hug you for a while longer. Just a while more. Wang Xian replied softly. All right. Guan Shuqing nodded and replied. She loved the current atmosphere. Sexy female dealer deals the card online, too. At this moment, a familiar piece of music sounded. On the screen, a shocking movie started playing. Chapter 183, Nirvana. The cards were dealt. Totally. Wang Xian was extremely exhilarated. Guan Shuqing did resist in the beginning, but she gave up. She allowed him into her room. Wang Xian was thrilled as he hugged Guan Shuqing fast and furious as soon as he came to her room. The door was opened and closed in one go. Subsequently, it was the most exciting moment for Wang Xian. Even though it was his first time doing this, he had seen a few clips under the influence of Wang Dahai. At the very least, he was not a total noob. After the shrill cries, it was the alluring moan. At 11 p.m., the moon was high in the sky, and the waves washed up onto the shores. It was a beautiful night. Be it outside or inside the villa, it was full of seductive glows and sounds. However, at this time, two black figures were dashing towards the villas. This is the place. The one whom young master wants to kill is inside. There are only 3 women and Wang Xian in the house. This lad has some luck with women. How dare a miracle doctor who is ranked 18 provoke our young master Lu? Go to hell. As the 2 black figures spoke, they moved in swift actions. With a leap, they entered the villa immediately. Kill them all. A black figure looked into the villa and spoke in a murderous tone. Go. The 2 black figures charged into the villa at a daunting speed. Ring. Suddenly, the bells beside Elder Fang rang without any warning when she was resting in her room. Someone broke in. She immediately opened her eyes and dressed up. With a skip and an arm swing, she picked up her sword and walked out of her room. She cast a glance at the door that was tightly closed at the side where Xiao Yu was resting. With some hesitation, she leapt to the 3rd floor. I should remind Xiao Yu's brother. But when she jumped into the room, she heard the seductive voices within the room. Along with that, it was conversations like, "No, stop it, I'm dying," and "Let's change to another position." Elder Fang stared with her eyes wide open. Subsequently, her face turned red instantly. Ring. At this time, the bells in her hands rang again. She could not stay here any longer. With a leap, she jumped down and walked to the entrance of the villa. Who is it? How dare you barge in like this? Elder Fang drew her long sword with a slightly blushed face as she spoke coldly to the two black figures in front of her. I did not expect to see a martial artist here. The two black figures narrowed their eyes and launched their rapid and fierce attack. Seeking your own death. Elder Fang had a slight change in her expression. She wielded her long sword and darted out at the two figures. Level 8 martial artist. Both black figures were shocked. They exchanged eye contact and wielded the daggers in their hands for another attack. The two black figures were level 8 martial artists too. Xiaoyu, who was deep in her sleep, did not know her master was battling with someone outside. All the more, Wang Xian was ignorant about it. He was also battling at that moment. If he was not battling, he could have easily detected the happenings outside. Elder Fang and the two black figures fought for 20 minutes. Eventually, they left the place quickly with bewilderment. The woman possessed a combat skill that was way beyond their expectations. Who are they? All their strokes were ruthless, and they were out to kill. Elder Fang knit her eyebrows slightly as she looked to the distance. The two black figures had long since disappeared in the dark. She pondered for a moment and went back to the villa. In a move, she jumped directly to the second floor. Standing outside, she could still hear some voices from upstairs. Elder Fang blushed once again. She took a deep breath and went back to her room. Third floor, within Wang Xian's room. An hour passed. 2 hours passed. 3 hours passed. Guan Shuqing felt numbness in her entire body as she was almost blacked out. I can't go on, Xiao Xian. I really can't. Guan Shuqing was almost tearing up as she pleaded. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. I haven't. Xiao Xian, I really can't go on. My lips are swollen. Guan Shuqing shook her head with slight terror. He was too strong, and he lasted for too long. Simply formidable. Wang Xian gave a bitter look on his face. He was not expecting himself to be so formidable. After almost 4 hours, he was still energetic. Could it be because of his dragon nature? He frowned slightly. With a bitter face, he said, Okay, Shuqing. It was my fault today. As Wang Xian looked at the pale-looking Guan Shuqing, his heart ached as he consoled her. No, it was my fault. I didn't. As Guan Shuqing spoke, her voice got softer and softer. Eventually, she fell asleep. Well, it's not good to be too strong either. Wang Xian sighed as he pulled the quilt at the side over Guan Shuqing. Bam! What he did not notice was, something from the table dropped onto the bed as he pulled the quilt. It was a piece of blood-red stone, and the stone landed around Guan Shuqing's thighs. There was a trace of blood on the bed sheet. When that piece of blood-red stone fell on it, it slowly emitted a red glow. I shall take a shower. Wang Xian stood up and walked to the bathroom. When the bathroom door was closed, the red stone gave off an immense amount of glow which encompassed Guan Shuqing slowly. A virtual image of Suzaku flashed and disappeared shortly. The Suzaku's blood essence was gone too. Guan Shuqing, who was lying on the bed, did not know that she was undergoing her nirvana. The next morning, Wang Xian looked at Guan Shuqing, who was still sleeping. He used his azure dragon energy to heal some of her wounds. Subsequently, he came downstairs quietly. Brother, where is my sister-in-law? Get her to have breakfast with us, said Xiaoyu when she saw Wang Xian walking down. She's still sleeping. We can have it first. Wang Xian giggled and sat down to have his breakfast. Oh, are you going out today? Xiaoyu continued to ask. I don't think so. We should be taking a rest. Wang Xian shook his head when he thought of Guan Shuqing. Elder Fang, next to him, looked at Wang Xian discreetly as she ate her breakfast quietly. After breakfast, Elder Fang suddenly instructed Xiao Yu, go upstairs now. I have something to talk to your brother about. Her. Xiao Yu hesitated and was confused for a while before she nodded and headed upstairs. Wang Xian looked at Elder Fang with questions. Yesterday, someone snuck into the villa. They were 2 level 8 martial artists with strong murderous intention. Elder Fang told Wang Xian sternly. I'm afraid there will be stronger ones next time, and I won't be able to stop them. After hearing what Elder Fang said, Wang Xian was stunned. With a frown, he asked, are they after me? Elder Fang nodded her head slowly. I think so. Wang Xian's eyes turned cold. Leave this to me. I hope they'll return again. Elder Fang was slightly stupefied as she fixed her gaze on Wang Xian without uttering any words. Chapter 184, The Conversation Between Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. In one of the rooms on the 3rd floor of the villa, Guan Shuqing's eyelashes twitched a little. She reached around her and frowned. Her body was trembling when she recalled the craziness of last night. She started blushing as she lay on the bed, feeling weakness throughout her body. That was too tiring. She felt that she would need 2 to 3 days of rest to recuperate. Buzz. Buzz. A mobile phone vibrated beside her just as she started imagining things. She stumped for a while before reaching for the mobile phone. It was Wang Xian's phone. When she saw the message, she was taken aback. The message was from Lan Qingyue. There wasn't much in the message and just a sentence, thank you for your help at the auction the other day. If you have any jewelry in the future, could you sell it to our deep-sea jewelry? Guan Shuqing frowned slightly. She did not reply but instead quietly placed the mobile phone back. A few moments later, Wang Xian walked into the room and saw that Guan Shuqing had woken up. He immediately said, Shuqing, you are awake. Are you hungry? I have made some chicken soup for you. Hee. Let me get it for you. Sure. Guan Shuqing looked at her man and her eyes were filled with tenderness. Soon, Wang Xian walked into the room again with a bowl of chicken soup in his hands. Come have some. It helps in your recovery. Thank you, Xian. Guan Shuqing replied. She drank a mouthful before leaning against Wang Xian's legs. Let me feed you. Wang Xian's expressions were full of tenderness too as he fed her slowly. All right, I am full now. Let me rest a little more. It's all your fault from yesterday, Guan Shuqing said. Guan Shuqing lay down as she rolled her eyes at Wang Xian. Together. Let's lie down together. Wang Xian tried to snuggle into the bed ecstatically after hearing what Guan Shuqing said. You. Stay away. Guan Shuqing exclaimed. She was scared of him. Air. Wang Xian was slightly disappointed with Guan Shuqing's reactions. Haven't your injuries recovered yet? Guan Shuqing nearly cried out after hearing him. Her external injuries had recovered, but she had not recovered from exhaustion. No. Get out. You are not allowed on the bed. Get out. Guan Shuqing remarked. Wang Xian was speechless and walked out feeling disappointed. How should I deal with this? Guan Shuqing started pondering as she looked at the back view of the leaving Wang Xian. I cannot satisfy Wang Xian, if this continues on, he will. Guan Shuqing was lost. She lay on the bed and fell into a daze. After pondering for some time, Guan Shuqing made up her mind. She picked up Wang Xian's mobile phone. On second thought, she decided to use her own phone and look for Lan Qingyue's on WeChat instead. Are you there? She typed. Guan Shuqing bit her lips as she looked at her mobile phone. Yes? Is there anything? Lan Qingyue replied. In the deep-sea building in the city center of Rivertown, Lan Qingyue was busily handling the paperwork. She looked drained. She was surprised when she saw Guan Shuqing's message and frowned. "Do you like Xian?" Guan Shuqing asked after pondering for a while. "Is there any purpose to your question at this juncture?" Lan Qingyue replied calmly while taking a deep breath. "I believe Xian is in love with you too," Guan Shuqing continued. And then? Lan Qingyue smiled bitterly after looking at this message. She supported her forehead with her hand. What if I'm agreeable to letting you stay beside Xian? Are you willing?" Guan Shuqing replied immediately. Lan Qingyue was stunned when she saw the message. She bit her lips and replied, "I'm already out of the picture. Besides that, aren't you there for Xian already? Are you willing if the three of us stay together? The truth is that I also don't want to share him with you. However, I'm out of other options." Guan Shuqing sent out this message bitterly. She didn't want to share her husband with anyone else. However, when she thought of the craziness of Wang Xian from the previous night, she was aghast. Furthermore, as one who was born in a well-to-do family, she knew clearly. Even her own father was having an affair outside. There were few men who were rich but loyal. Moreover, Wang Xian was too outstanding. Even if Wang Xian didn't think about it, there would be lots of women trying to approach him. She should be active instead of passive. Although Lan Qingyue was once her competitor, she admired Lan Qingyue. In the office, when Lan Qingyue saw Guan Shuqing's message, she was shocked and stared at it blankly. "All I want now is to stay beside him," Lan Qingyue murmured. She looked down and continued, "However, everything is too late now." She wiped her tears and replied, I am getting engaged soon." "What?" Guan Shuqing sprang up upon seeing the message. She hurriedly continued, "You are getting engaged? Do you mean it?" "Yes, it's true. Xian and you will have my blessing. I'm really envious of you. Goodbye." Guan Shuqing was shocked by the last message from Lan Qingyue. She doubted, how could Lan Qingyue be engaged? How can this be possible? Her expression changed and she hesitated. She then looked at the clothes that were ripped into pieces. Xian. Guan Shuqing shouted weakly. "Huh?" Wang Xian, who was surfing the underworld website, immediately rushed over. "What's the matter, Shuqing? What happened?" Wang Xian walked over and asked caringly. "Do you know that Lan Qingyue is getting engaged?" Guan Shuqing asked Wang Xian. "What?" Wang Xian was shocked by what he heard and his expression changed drastically. Guan Shuqing saw the changes in his expression and asked, "Xian, do you like Lan Qingyue too?" Wang Xian smiled bitterly while looking at Guan Shuqing. He replied, "I do feel a little sorry towards her." Fine. You don't have to explain it to me." Guan Shuqing rolled her eyes before continuing, "I wanted to ask her if she would like to be with you too initially. However, I had not expected her to be getting engaged. This isn't right. Based on my understanding of Lan Qingyue, she wouldn't abandon herself to despair just because Xian hasn't chosen her. Why would she suddenly be getting engaged? Furthermore, from my conversation with her a while ago, she must still be in love with you. However, she seemed to have something she couldn't tell me." Guan Shuqing analyzed seriously. A woman understood another woman best. Furthermore, the sixth sense of woman was usually very strong. Wang Xian was startled after hearing Guan Shuqing, and he opened her mouth briefly. "What? What does she mean?" "Okay, Xian, I am tired and I want to rest. If you can convince Lan Qingyue, I won't object." Guan Shuqing lay on the bed, closing her eyes as she spoke. Wang Xian's expression changed again. He looked at Guan Shuqing, walked over and gave her a kiss. He took back his phone and left the room with questions. After looking at Wang Xian closing the door lightly, Guan Shuqing opened her eyes. PFF, you are a teddy, a big teddy. After walking out of the room, Wang Xian started to frown. He recalled the day when he met Lan Qingyue at the auction house and the conversation of those around. Chapter 185, Lan Family. Mo Qinglong, check on the recent events that happened to Lan Family, and check on the tyrannical sword, Lu Family, too. Back on the roof at the villa, Wang Xian commanded Mo Qinglong over the phone. Yes, Dragon King. What strength do we have now in the dragon sect? Wang Xian continued to ask Mo Qinglong. Dragon King, we have 50 Dragonians at level 8 while Mo Yuan is already a half step to Inborn. Mo Qinglong answered. Okay, I got it. Have you brought the 9 venomous sea snakes back to the sea? Yes, they are safe in the sea now. Great. After Wang Xian hung up the phone, he looked at the message sent by Lan Qingyue. He immediately asked, are you a willing party in this marriage? Sometimes, you can't get what you want, and you can't refuse to do something when you don't want to. About 5 minutes later, Lan Qingyue gave a double-edged reply. I'll get the things I want, and no one can force me to do something that I don't want to do. I'll have control of my own fate. Wang Xian stared at the sea in the distance, drawing the corner of his lips. At the same time, 2 middle-aged men were standing beside Lu Feiyun with respect in a manner at Hailing Province. Useless things. You've got 2 people, and you can't even kill a level 8 martial artist, Lu Feiyun screamed impatiently at the 2 middle-aged men beside him. Young master, her swordsmanship is formidable, and she was at the peak of level 8. We were afraid we might draw attention if we got into a tangle with her for too long. Both middle-aged men explained with an awful look. Oh. Formidable swordsmanship. Lu Feiyun drew his lips slightly. Last night, I finally deciphered the art of Sword Celestial from the authentic calligraphy of Li Bai and obtained Sword Celestial's inheritance. Soon, I'll become a level 8 martial artist. I would like to meet and spar with the lady you said to be strong in her swordsmanship. However, I'm too busy lately, and I don't have the time to play with them. Young master, you obtained Sword Celestial's inheritance. I'm sure you'll make it to the outstanding young heroes chart one day and overlook the rest of the heroes. The 2 of them quickly flattered him as they were shocked. Ha, of course. Outstanding young heroes. My tyrannical sword and I will ascend to the top. Lu Feiyun laughed. Congratulations, young master. Both of them quickly licked his boots again. He's just a miracle doctor ranked 18. Both of you will make a trip with Butler Zhao and Lu San the night after tomorrow. You must kill them for me. Otherwise, don't come back, said Lu Feiyun coldly. Yes, young master. We'll deliver his head to you, the 2 middle-aged quickly answered. Lu Feiyun waved his hand and smirked. Wang Xian, Miracle Dr. Wang, and you, Lan Qingyue. If it were not for your billions worth of assets, do you think the Lu family would go all the way to help you out? You are just a plaything to me. Since a plaything is not obedient, I'll make sure you listen to me. Lu Feiyun displayed a haughty look. With the inheritance of Sword Celestial, he would become one of the most formidable Sword Celestials in the world soon. 2 days passed. These 2 days, Guan Shuqing had been resting while Wang Xian was waiting quietly in the villa. The school would open tomorrow, and Wang Xian took a month's leave. Dragon King, the information you wanted is here. In the afternoon, 2 figures jumped up to the roof like ghosts when they reported to Wang Xian under the beach umbrella. Wang Xian reached and took the information. It was about tyrannical sword Lu family and Lan family. 1 inborn expert, 4 half-step to inborn experts and 13 level 9 martial artists. No wonder they are the first-class force. Wang Xian squinted his eyes as he read Lu family's information. The entire document had detailed records of the strength in the tyrannical sword Lu family. The only one that could evenly match with them in the entire Hailing Province was Ancient Fist Sect. In Hailing Province, no one dared to offend Lan Family. When Wang Xian picked up the information about Lan Family, an invitation card was caught in between the papers. Wang Xian opened it up. It was an invitation for an engagement party sent by Lan Family to other wealthy families. His eyes turned cold as he continued to read. Deep Sea Jewelry and Lan Family had taken a hammering under the Zhou Jewelry and Qingyue sect just recently. First, they took a loss in a billion-dollar investment project in Dongqing Province. Next, they were targeted by the Zhou Jewelry. This caused a huge blow to the Lan Family. In desperation, Lan Family had to join hands with Lan Family to stand up against the Zhou Jewelry and Qingyue sect's hammering. However, Lan Family requested Lan Qingyue to marry to their family. Tomorrow. Wang Xian stood up slowly. Lan Family will not be a concern anymore. You may leave. Wang Xian gestured for them to leave and pondered quietly. Night fell when Xiao Yu, Guan Shuqing, and Elder Fang were watching soap operas downstairs. Wang Xian was thinking of his plan for tomorrow. Should he inform Lan Qingyue in advance? Should he ask for Lan Qingyue's advice? At about 10 p.m., Xiao Yu and the rest went back to their rooms to sleep. Guan Shuqing did not allow Wang Xian to enter her room. Without any choice, he went to the next room. Around 11 p.m., Elder Fang woke up in her room as she looked at the bells ringing non-stop at the bedside. With a swift movement, she opened her door. Elder Fang, let's do it together. Just then, a voice came from upstairs. She lifted her chin and saw Wang Xian looking over with a smile. Elder Fang paused before she nodded. Wang Xian made a quiet jump into the living room. Indeed, Miracle Dr. Wang is not that simple. Looking at the way he moved, Elder Fang thought to herself. She had always believed that the mysterious miracle Dr. Wang was not someone simple. Last time, they sent 2 level 8 martial artists over here. This time, they will definitely send more formidable people over. Elder Fang reminded Wang Xian. Don't worry. I've got everything prepared. Wang Xian chuckled and looked outside. Voila! The door was opened and the 4 black middle-aged men walked into the villa. I have been waiting for you guys for many days. Finally, you guys came. Wang Xian gazed at the 4 people in front of him with smiles on his face. Her. The 4 black figures hesitated as they swept their watchful gazes around. Just the 2 of them, a middle-aged man narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Kill them, and behead the man. The middle-aged man in the middle spoke in a cold and harsh tone. What's the hurry? I still want to ask who sent you guys over. Wang Xian wore a smiley face as if everything seemed like a breeze to him. Kill. However, the quartet did not hesitate at all. With swift movements, they launched an attack at them. You are really asking for it. Wang Xian looked at the 4 black figures with an icy look. Chapter 186, Dragon King's Order. You guys are courting your death. Just as Elder Fang was preparing to pull out her long sword to attack, a voice pierced through the silence. The 4 black figures wavered and looked at their surroundings attentively. How dare you barge into the forbidden grounds of the Dragon King? How audacious! The voice sounded again and a shadow appeared in front of the 4 black figures, staring at them coldly. You! The 4 black figures were shocked by the sudden appearance of an old man and instinctively staggered back several steps. You, who are you? Oh no, we are ambushed. The 4 black figures stared at the old man who appeared suddenly, feeling aghast. Elder Fang also perked up and stared at the old man in front of her attentively. To her astonishment, she didn't manage to see how this old man had appeared. Cough cough. The Dragon King is asking you guys a question. If you aren't answering, I'll just have to make you talk. Mo Qinglong stretched his arms out slowly. The four black figures looked at Mo Qinglong with heavy expressions. As Mo Qinglong stretched his arms up, a devilish force swept towards them. Shit! He isn't someone we can stand up against. Run! Hurry, run! The four black figures were petrified. At the instant the old man raised his arms, they felt the fear of death creeping upon them. Can you escape? Mo Qinglong commented mockingly as waves of dark energy entered the body of the black figures. The four froze and horrified expressions were seen on their faces. To everyone's astonishment, the old man was able to control their bodies just by raising his arms. Following which, their eyes were shrouded by darkness and their bodies stiffened. This is the devil path. An inborn expert. Elder Fang was horrified to see Mo Qinglong controlling the four men through such a terrifying method. Devil path. Moreover, he was a powerful expert at the inborn realm. An inborn expert who practices the devil path takes orders from Wang Xian. Could it be that he also practices the devil path? Elder Fang thought. Speak. Who sent you guys here? Wang Xian asked the four men coldly. It's our young master, the four black figures replied together. Who is your young master? Wang Xian continued asking. Young master Lu Feiyun. He wanted us to come and claim your head and kill off everyone in the villa. He wanted this as his present for his engagement ceremony the next day, they replied. Lu Feiyun. Fine, fine. Wang Xian squinted his eyes as murderous intent flashed past his eyes. He didn't expect these men to be sent by Lu Feiyun. Furthermore, he ordered these men to decapitate him. Since that's the case, I will send you a congratulatory gift tomorrow. Kill them, he said coldly to Mo Qinglong. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong waved his arms and the four collapsed on the ground. Elder Fang's heart skipped a beat as she saw the developments. She looked at Wang Xian with her eyes flickering. Get everyone in Rivertown to go to the Lan family's villa tomorrow. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded respectfully. Shifting his stance, he disappeared from sight. Dragon King. Elder Fang thought to herself. Elder Fang heard how the terrifying inborn expert addressed Wang Xian. She had a lot of questions in mind but didn't act rashly. You are going to the Lan family tomorrow? Tomorrow is the day the Lan family and the Lu family hold their engagement ceremony, Elder Fang reminded Wang Xian. I know, Wang Xian replied. He continued calmly, Elder Fang, you should go get some rest. Elder Fang looked at Wang Xian once again. She hesitated but still went back into her room. She pondered for some time before taking out her mobile phone and calling sect leader Tang. Elder Fang, did something happen for you to call me at this time? The voice of sect leader Tang could be heard from the other end of the phone call. Sect leader, I have a very important thing for you, Elder Fang said solemnly. Just say it. Sect leader Tang got serious and answered. It's about Xiaoyu's elder brother, Miracle Dr. Wang. Elder Fang took a deep breath and continued, the Lu family from the tyrannical sword sent assassins to assassinate him tonight. However, a terrifying old man appeared and addressed Miracle Dr. Wang as the Dragon King. The old man uses devilish techniques and is definitely an inborn expert. With a wave of his hand, he murdered 2 level 9 martial artists and 2 level 8 martial artists. Furthermore, Miracle Dr. Wang is preparing to meet the Lan family tomorrow. My guess is that he will be confronting the Lu family. Lu family of the tyrannical sword. Inborn expert. Dragon King. Sect leader Tang's expression got worse as Elder Fang spoke. He replied, I knew Miracle Doctor wouldn't be simple since he can take out a level 4 spiritual medicine effortlessly. However, I hadn't expected an inborn expert to address him as Dragon King. The Lu family only has an inborn expert. Since Miracle Dr. Wang dares to go, he should have enough confidence. Sect leader Tang's eyes flickered as he continued, Miracle Dr. Wang and Xiaoyu. I will bring some men to the Lan family tomorrow. Elder Fang was stunned after hearing sect leader Tang. Nonetheless, she replied respectfully, yes, sect leader. Dragon King and an inborn expert. Sect leader Tang started to ponder. Tonight was fated to be an eventful night for the people of Rivertown. None dare to defy once the order of the Dragon King is issued, the Ren family head replied respectfully to the Dark Shadow. The Dark Shadow nodded, his body moved and disappeared from the luxurious villa. The order from the Dragon King had been issued. Rivertown will be chaotic once again. Ren family head said as he looked at the Dark Shadow disappearing. He could feel a faint pressure from the Dark Shadow. However, he knew that this was just an ordinary member of the Dragon sect. Tomorrow is the day the Lan family and the Lu family host their engagement ceremony. It seems like the Dragon King is targeting the Lu family. The Ren family head eyes flickered and he shouted to those outside, come in. Family head. Two people rushed in and addressed him respectfully. Gather all the elites of the Ren family. Follow me and obey the orders of the Dragon King tomorrow. Yes, family head. The two members were shocked and nodded their heads. Old Duan got dressed early in the morning and gave his orders to the elites of his family. Tomorrow, we shall obey the command of the Dragon King. Obey the command of the Dragon King. Obey the command of the Dragon King. Each and every ancient martial arts family from Rivertown answered in unison and would obey the command of the Dragon King. At the Qin family, old Qin dressed up and laughed heartily, brother Wang Xian wants to blow this up. With the Dragon sect and everyone from Rivertown, there's no reason to be scared of the Lu family. Ha! Incredible! Incredible! Once the order of the Dragon King is issued, no one in Rivertown dares to disobey. The news spread to every elite and wealthy man in Rivertown. Old Qin from the Qin family had told them personally. The order of the Dragon King had been issued and they shall obey the order tomorrow. Although this group of people did not understand much about the Dragon King and some might not have heard of him, Old Qin and those wealthy men with connections with ancient martial arts families had all received the news. Tomorrow, they shall head to the Lan family and take orders from the Dragon King. At night, the whole of Rivertown shook just because of a person's order. The night passed by peacefully. However, turmoil had started to brew. So, the Dragon King has the Dragon sect backing him. Dragon King, I have come too. At the top floor of a building, a long-haired man stood there and spoke plainly. Chapter 187. I'm Wang Xian, 1. The next morning at Flowing Water Villa. Flowing Water Villa was a private club in Rivertown with a horse racing track, golf course and swimming pool. This was a high-end private club. Also, a high-end banquet venue. Lan Family, second to Qin family in Rivertown, was indeed a billion-dollar group. Even though the stock price of Lan Family had fallen sharply in the recent period, they still maintained their status. No ordinary companies or groups could easily shake Lan Family's status. Besides, they had their foundation. It would be difficult for them to fall. Today was a rather important day for the entire Lan Family. Lan Family would be joining hands with the tyrannical sword of the Lu family from the Hailing province. To put it bluntly, Lan Family was getting tyrannical sword Lu family as their backing. Tyrannical sword of the Lu family possessed formidable strength in Hailing province. Their family assets had reached hundreds of billions. But this was secondary. Lu family was strong in its mighty strength. In the entire Hailing province, it was scarce to have someone who dared to offend the tyrannical sword of the Lu family. Hence, the political marriage of Lan family's future heir, Lan Qingyue, and tyrannical sword of the Lu family, Little Sword Celestial, was a big deal for many people. Early in the morning, many luxury cars were parked outside the Flowing Water Villa. All elites were well dressed as they headed to the villa. Second Master Lu, hello. Second Master Lu, hello. A middle-aged man put on a smile as he stood at the entrance, greeting all the guests. Ha, thank you for traveling so far to attend Xiao Yun's engagement ceremony. Second Master Lu laughed as he greeted the guests politely. You're welcome. It's young Master Lu's engagement ceremony. We must be here for the celebration. It's our honor to be here. That's right. Since young Master Lu is of the Hailing Province, the friends from Hailing Province must join in the celebration, the middle-aged men and elderly men quickly replied. Ha, thank you, everyone. Second Master Lu cupped his fist and smiled. Many people drove their luxurious cars with presents from Hailing Province. They were heading towards the flowing water villa joyfully. Those wealthy families, martial artist families, and sects had to come and showed their support since it was a political marriage between Lu family and Lan family. Besides, it was the little sword Celestial who was getting engaged. That's Magnate Guan. He's in the top 5 tycoons in Hailing Province. I didn't expect he would be here personally. They are from the Hushan sect of Hailing Province, a second-class sect. That's Wu family of Hailing Province, another second-class family. Gosh, so many people actually came to support Lu family. If this ceremony were to be held in Hailing Province, I believe there would be more people. It was the right choice to have this political marriage. Lu family's strength in Hailing Province was too formidable. A few people from the Lan family were in disbelief when they saw the stream of people who walked in. Lu family was simply too strong. Lan family found themselves a strong backing with the political marriage despite making some sacrifices themselves too. Ah Xiao, have we sent out all our invitations? A middle-aged man asked the woman next to him. Yes, we did. We sent them to all well-known people, including the ancient martial artist families in Rivertown. It's just that I don't think the ancient martial artist families would turn up since we have no contact with them. The woman frowned. Lan family was considered to be widely known in Rivertown. They also invited many people since the future heir of the family was getting engaged. Even though they could not compare their lineup with Lu family, they should not lose out at the very least. I wonder if Qin family will turn up. The middle-aged man hesitated as he frowned and spoke while observing the guests from Lu family. I think someone will come, it's just that we're not sure about that person's status, the woman pondered and said. Forget it. Let's not think about these things. We're still far from Lu family. Once we finish this engagement, we will not be afraid of the Zhou and Lingyue sect. The middle-aged man said as cold radiance flashed in his eyes. The magnates from Rivertown are here. Let's receive them. The middle-aged man and woman were the parents of Lan Qingyue. He looked at those magnates from Rivertown and went up to greet them with smiles. Director Lan, congratulations. One by one, the Rivertown magnates greeted him with smiling faces. However, their smiles seemed to be odd and peculiar. Director Li, welcome. Thank you for attending my daughter's engagement ceremony. The middle-aged greeted him with smiles. Hee, you're welcome. Director Li gave an awkward smile. Director Lan, congratulations. Thank you, Director Lan, for inviting me. I must thank all of you for attending the ceremony. Please come in. Looking at the Rivertown magnates, Director Lan put on a smiling face and spoke fervently. The group of Rivertown magnates chuckled and walked inside. Dragon King. 2 magnates who knew each other went inside. One of them spoke softly to a middle-aged man. The other middle-aged man nodded. It was Dragon King's order. Old Duan called me personally, and said he will show up too. Hu family head asked me to come. Old Qin informed me to come over. All elites in the entire Rivertown came over under an order. I bet Lan family has yet to know about this. Who dares to tip them off? The group of magnates went inside. Old Qin is here personally. At this time, Lan family's people who were receiving the guests were thrilled when they saw old Qin and other well-known magnates walking over. I think they are taking account of Lu family. What a great influence for a first-class force. Old Qin actually turned up personally for our political marriage with the Lu family. Old Qin, it's our honor for you to come here personally. Thank you very much. The parents of Lan Qingyue quickly went up and spoke to him with smiling faces. Hee, I had to come this time. Old Qin greeted them politely with a double-edged comment. It's my honor to have you attend a junior's engagement ceremony. Old Qin, this way. The middle-aged man and the lady welcomed him inside. Carry on with what you're doing. We can go over by ourselves. Old Qin smiled and waved them off as he led a group of people inside. Just then, a middle-aged guy from Lan family exclaimed, those are the ancient martial art families, Ren family, Shui family, Duan family, and Hu family. Gosh, the influence of the Lu family is too overwhelming. All the ancient martial artist families of Rivertown are here. We don't have a second-class force in Rivertown, not to mention a first-class force. Hence, no one will dare to provoke us since we're in-laws with the Lu family. Besides, they need to give us some face, so they are here to make peace with us today. You're right. We'll enjoy a higher status in Rivertown in the future. This engagement was the right decision to make. Chapter 188, I'm Wang Xian, 2. The members of the Lan family were conversing joyously. The number of people who had attended this wedding was completely beyond their expectations. Old Qin had come personally and the majority of the ancient martial artist families in Rivertown had already arrived. This made them feel extremely proud and lucky at the same time. They felt lucky that they were having a wedding with the Lu family. This political marriage would bring the Lan family countless intangible benefits. Even the ancient martial artist families in Rivertown are wary of the Lu family and are here to show goodwill. This political marriage is worth it, a young member of the Lan family commented happily. The surrounding members of the Lan family also smiled radiantly. As the guests entered the villa one after another, the Lan family noticed that the majority of the wealthy men and ancient martial artist families of Rivertown had all arrived. There were a total of 300 to 400 of them. This was undoubtedly a huge number. Together with the guests from the Lan family and the Lu family, the number of people attending this engagement ceremony was over 1,000. Within a room in the flowing water villa, Lan Qingyue sat in front of the dressing table without emotions. Behind her, several maids were helping her put up exquisite makeup and adjusting her beautiful white engagement ceremony dress. Sister Lan, you should be a little more thrilled. Today's your big day. Do you know how many people are out there? There are at least 1,000 of them. Oh my God. I heard that the wealthy people in Rivertown have all arrived. Moreover, there are many influential figures from Hailing Province. The Lu family is truly incredible in Hailing Province. Moreover, Lu Feiyan's fame has spread far and wide despite his young age, and many refer to him as the Little Sword Celestial. Qingyue, you are really blessed. Beside her, a young lady commented. Lan Qingyue's eyes flickered and were filled with fatigue and indignance. She looked at the reflection of herself in the mirror. She was beautiful, but she didn't like the white dress. She preferred a red wedding gown. However, she did not say it out loud. This was because she wasn't a willing party to this engagement. If it wasn't for the Lan family, or if the person she liked had the same feelings for her, she would have never agreed to the engagement. Qingyue, are you done? At this moment, the door to the room opened. Lu Feiyan was wearing a neat set of attire. This attire wasn't a suit but a family costume of the Lu family. Slightly above the chest area, the word Lu was imprinted on it. There was also an image of an ethereal flower embroidered onto the costume. He had a sword behind him that indicated his identity as a member of the Lu family who was known for their tyrannical sword. His attire wasn't typical for an engagement ceremony, but it was, in fact, the most formal costume of the Lu family. "I'll be done right away." Lan Qingyue nodded her head slowly and replied without turning her head over. Seeing how she reacted, a cold look flashed in the eyes of Lu Feiyun. As he looked at Lan Qingyue from top to bottom, vile thoughts arose in his mind. The engagement ceremony will begin in half an hour. "Qingyue, get dressed properly. We have a lot of people that have come from Hailing Province," Lu Feiyun said. His lips curved into a smile as he turned around and left. "Qingyue, look. Look at how charming Lu Feiyun is. You and he are the real perfect couple," the young lady by her side commented. Lan Qingyue didn't respond to it and simply looked into the mirror with hollow eyes. The golf course of Flowing Water Villa had been modified into a large engagement ceremony field. On it, there were over 100 exquisite tables with delicious food on them. At the center, there was a pathway laid by the red carpet. At the front of it, there was an elevated platform set up for the engagement ceremony. The stage was huge and the place looked just like the launch event of major popular brands. Although it was outdoors, the surrounding decoration was luxurious with a tinge of romance. At this moment, the guests of the Lu family and the Lan family were seated to the left and right respectively. "Sect Leader Tang, please come in. I had not expected Sect Leader Tang to attend our Lan family's wedding. It is truly our honor." At this moment, several members of the Lan family welcomed Sect Leader Tang and a dozen members of the Thistles and Thorns sect enthusiastically before leading them to their seats. "Hehe, Director Lan. How could the Thistles and Thorns sect stay out of today's event?" Sect Leader Tang looked across the crowd from Rivertown and commented with a faint smile. Yes. Thank you for coming. Everyone, please," the middle-aged man and the other members of the Lan family replied joyously. They had never expected Sect Leader Tang of the Thistles and Thorns sect from the southern province to lead their members to attend this engagement ceremony. This was a second-class force. Who would have expected the Lan family to have so many guests? The sect leader of Thistles and Thorns sect from the southern province is even here personally. Moreover, the Qin family and the majority of ancient martial artist families from Rivertown have all come. They aren't doing this for the Lan family. Instead, they are showing respect to the tyrannical sword of the Lu family. If the Lan family could really invite them over, they wouldn't be so badly bullied by Qingyue sect. That's true. Those people from the southern province and Rivertown wouldn't be here if not for the Lu family. To the left of the crowd from Rivertown, the guests of Lu family were looking at the guests of the Lan family while whispering softly. Around the table closest to the stage, 7 to 8 members of the Lu family and Lan family sat around. An old man with a white beard sat on the seat for the host. He looked around satisfactorily and said to the old man beside him, "The Lan family sure has a lot of guests." Old Lu. I'm sure you know that they are here mainly because of you," the old man from the Lan family replied courteously. That's true. The tyrannical sword of the Lu family is still rather influential around the surrounding provinces. Your granddaughter is really lucky to be marrying my grandson. The old man with a white beard wasn't humble at all as he remarked arrogantly. Yes, the old man from the Lan family nodded his head. A tinge of embarrassment flashed past his eyes. The other members of the Lan family simply exchanged pleasantries with the other members of the Lu family. The difference between the strength of the two parties had determined the difference in their status. Just as they were conversing, the guests around them consciously and unconsciously looked over. Who would have expected old Lu to be here? He's the pillar of the Lu family. Old Lu rarely shows up in the Lu family's villa. He probably rushed over for his beloved grandson's engagement ceremony. Old Lu has reached the inborn realm for over 20 years. His strength is probably even more horrifying at this moment. The crowd discussed softly. With an inborn expert sitting right there, it was hard for them to not pay attention to this area. It seems like I'm not too late. At this moment, a young man walked over slowly. He looked towards the Lu family with a smile before walking to the location at the front. When the ancient martial artists of Rivertown saw Wang Xian, they held their breath as they saw him walking ahead. And he sat around the table with old Qin, old Duan, old Shui, sect leader Tang and others. Chapter 189, I'm Wang Xian, 3. Thank you all. Wang Xian said and smiled as he looked at the few people at the same table. Hehe, Wang Xian already called us to come, how can we not turn up? Old Qin smiled back at Wang Xian. The bride and groom are out. Today's main characters are here. Just then, some voices came from the side. Wang Xian spun his head around and peered towards the back. Everyone turned around too. The clean-looking, white gown with a refined makeup turned Lan Qingyue into a ravishing beauty. Every move of hers was giving off a unique vibe. Lu Feiyun, beside her, was in a blue suit with a long sword behind him. He looked around with a face full of smiles. His dignified demeanor and confident appearance made him an elegant man too. They were made for each other. The man is dashing while the lady is striking. Ha! Such a perfect match. The crowd was pouring endless praise when they saw the attractive couple walking on the red carpet. Let's welcome the couple who are walking towards their happiness. A renowned host was holding onto a microphone with smiles on the front stage. Lu Feiyun, 28 years old, is well known as Little Sword Celestial, who is a well-mannered and impressive gentleman. Lan Qingyue, 22 years old. She's already the general manager at Deep Sea Jewelry at such a young age, and she's a famous talent in Rivertown. Today, they will be tying the knot over here. As the host introduced the couple, soft music was played. All the guests kept quiet as they watched smilingly. She's still so beautiful. Wang Xian looked at Lan Qingyue and displayed a faint grin. Upon hearing his comment, old Qin and old Shui threw him a gaze as they widened their smiles. Even heroes have a weakness for the charms of a beautiful woman. Look, they're here. As they were approaching, the host said with smiles, please face our friends and relatives. Today, they will be witnessing the couple tying the knot of a lifetime. Lu Feiyun turned around as he grinned from ear to ear. Lan Qingyue followed suit too. Thank you for attending the engagement ceremony of Mr. Lu Feiyun and Ms. Lan Qingyue. Today will mark a new beginning for the couple. Let's give them our most sincere congratulations. Today, all of you will witness the engagement of the couple. Even though this is not the wedding ceremony, getting engaged is equivalent to proposing. I wonder if the fiancé has prepared anything. The host looked at Lu Feiyun with smiles. Lu Feiyun returned a grin to him. Of course. Then let your show begin, the host joked. An engagement was different from a wedding. The fiancé had to propose on the grand stage. Lu Feiyun drew his lips slightly. After he took 2 slow steps backward, he swung his arm, and the long sword behind him was drawn into the air. He threw his arm up, grabbed the long sword, and began his sword dance. In amongst flowers with a bottle of wine. I drink alone for there is no one close by. I raise my chalice to invite the shining moon. The moon casts me a shadow, and we have a triad. Since the moon never learns to drink, my shadow absent-mindedly shall follow me. Nevertheless, I have them around me. Enjoying the moments, just like how it should be. I sing, and the moon lingers. I dance, and my shadow whirls under. In my sober moments, we rejoice together. And we bid goodbye as soon as I am drunk. Such fellowship shall last despite our parted ways. Only heaven knows when we shall come together again. A sword danced in front of the audience. As Lu Feiyun wielded his sword, he recited one of Li Bai's renowned poems, Drinking Alone Under the Moon. His sword was gleaming with a faint and wavering glow from the moon, which was beautiful and extravagant. The audience was taken aback by Lu Feiyun's swordplay such that they could not hide their shocking expressions. Little Sword's celestial swordsmanship seems to be much stronger than what the rumors claimed it to be. Gosh, this is impressive. His sword seems to have drawn a picture in the air. Young Master Lu's swordsmanship is getting more powerful. He lives up to the name of Little Sword Celestial. Ha, awesome. It's indeed the art of Sword Celestial. Well done. An elder with a full white beard was sitting in the front row, looking ebullient when he gazed at the strokes Lu Feiyun displayed. Lu Feiyun was even more proud when he noticed the surprised looks from the audience. He then turned to Lan Qingyue. Wine and Moon were the most loyal companions throughout Li Bai's entire life. I hope, Qingyue, you can become my most loyal companion in my life too. Just recently, I obtained the Sword Celestial's inheritance, and I'll rise to the highest level in no time. As my wife, you'll also enjoy a high status with me. As Lu Feiyun spoke, he pointed the long sword into the air, and a diamond ring appeared on the top. He threw his long sword back into its scabbard and took the diamond ring as he gazed smilingly at Lan Qingyue. Qingyue, will you be my companion? Lu Feiyun looked at the ravishing Lan Qingyue. Wow, this is so romantic. If someone were to propose to me like this, I'd say yes immediately. All the females in the crowd were falling head over heels for him. Lu Feiyun, who performed swordplay, was simply too romantic and touching. I didn't expect that young Master Lu could obtain the Sword Celestial, Li Bai's inheritance. No wonder the sword dance was beautiful, yet ferocious. What a surprise. I heard that he won the auction of Li Bai's authentic calligraphy. He's such a talent to have comprehended its essence in such a short time. He even obtained the inheritance. He's such a gifted man. Given young Master Lu's talent, he will take over old Lu's position and become the next inborn Sword Celestial of the Lu family. When the audience heard what Lu Feiyun said, they were struck by surprise. The talent displayed by Lu Feiyun was daunting. Lan Qingyue fell into a trance-like state as she gazed at Lu Feiyun and the diamond ring in his hand. A different phase of life would begin as soon as she received the ring. Immense bitterness filled her eyes as she closed them. Upon seeing how Lan Qingyue was responding, Lu Feiyun frowned slightly. Impatience flashed in his eyes as he sounded stiff. Qingyue, will you say yes to me? Of course not. Just when Lan Qingyue opened her eyes to accept her fate, a voice cut the silent air in the engagement ceremony. Upon hearing the voice, Lan Qingyue jerked slightly as she spun around with disbelief. She stared hard at Wang Xian. An abrupt voice had stunned everyone from the Lan and Lu family. Lu Feiyun, on the stage, turned around immediately. When he saw Wang Xian, he was slightly taken aback. Soon after, he glared at Wang Xian with a murderous face. Who are you, brat? How dare you spout nonsense here? Seeking your own doom. A middle-aged man who was sitting beside the white-bearded old man stood up. He stared at Wang Xian with a sharp and ferocious look as he shouted at him. The white-bearded old man swept his gaze across Wang Xian before he turned to look at the seniors from Lan family unhappily. Apparently, he was displeased with the fact that the person who had interrupted was a guest of the Lan family. I'm Wang Xian. Wang Xian returned a smile to that middle-aged man as he replied impassively. Chapter 190, I'm Wang Xian, 4. I'm Wang Xian. It was just 3 short and ordinary words, but they exhibited endless confidence. Wang Xian. Where did this brat come from? How dare he spout nonsense here? Is he courting his own death? At this moment, before the Lu family responded, a burly man among the Lu family's guests stood up and shouted emotionlessly at Wang Xian. That's right. How dare you spout nonsense in young Master Lu's engagement ceremony? You must be too eager to die. I have not heard of Wang Xian. However, I'll probably be attending your memorial service the same day next year. What an arrogant brat to kick up a fuss in Lu family's engagement ceremony. You must be tired of living. After that burly middle-aged man stood up to reprimand Wang Xian, other ancient martial artists stood up one after another and stared coldly at Wang Xian. Some of the ancient martial artists emitted strong auras directly as they threw their gazes filled with killing intent at Wang Xian. In an instant, everyone's attention had fallen onto Wang Xian. Without having to take actions or say a single word, there was already a group of guests who were willing to stand up for the Lu family. In fact, if it wasn't a joyous event today, they would have taken actions directly to get on the good books of the Lu family. Xiao Xian. Why are you here? Get away quickly. Lan Qingyue was shocked to see Wang Xian. After hearing the threats of the crowd while still being in shock, her face turned pale and she blurted out. She knew that Wang Xian was incredible. However, the other party was the Lu family, who was one of the top forces in Hailing province. Lan Qingyue's body was shivering a little and her eyes were filled with horror. Huh? When the crowd heard Lan Qingyue, they were stunned. This. What does this mean? When the female party of the engagement ceremony said those words, the meaning behind it would be great. Is Wang Xian the old flame of Lan Qingyue? Or perhaps he was her secret lover. A bright green grass field slowly appeared over Lu Feiyun's head. You couldn't really blame them for reading too much into this. With the development of the situation, it wasn't hard for them to reach this conclusion. In fact, those with a wilder imagination already had a few versions in their minds. The young missy of the Lan family is forced to marry the Lu family. The lover of the young missy appears to snatch the bride. The young missy of the Lan family has an affair with a poor kid. Little sword celestial of the Lu family is made a cuckold. Wait. Lan Qingyue. Lu Feiyun saw the expression of Lan Qingyue and heard her words. His expression was savage and he was clenching his fist tightly. Under such circumstances and during his engagement ceremony. For her fiancé to be involved in a scandal with another man, this was the utmost humiliation to him. How could he possibly face the public in the future as the little sword celestial of the tyrannical sword? Bam! Preposterous. Preposterous. At this moment, at the table of the host, the white-bearded old man slammed his hand heavily on the table with a solemn expression. All the cups on the table were knocked over. The old man from Lan family beside him looked extremely pale. The other members of the Lan family were also as white as a sheet. Some even stared at Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue angrily. The burly middle-aged man from before saw how furious old Lu was. He stood up and immediately remarked, "Old Lu, leave this to us. We can handle it." "Yeah, old Lu. Just leave this brat to us." Those ancient martial arts families and sects who wished to get on the good side of the Lu family stood up one after another and requested old Lu to let them help. Drag him out. Old Lu didn't say a word but the middle-aged man beside him did. Yes. Instantly, over 10 people nodded their heads. They were from different families and sections. They stood up and stared harshly at Wang Xian before walking towards him. "Brat, you are courting your own death." The burly middle-aged man stared coldly at Wang Xian with killing intent. Xiao Xian. Seeing this, Lan Qingyue's complexion turned even paler. A teardrop streamed down her cheek. Wang Xian looked at the dozen people walking towards him and revealed a mocking smile. He stood up gradually. Rattle rattle. At this moment, sounds of tables and chairs scraping the floor sounded. To the astonishment of the Lan family, the Lu family and the guests, all the ancient martial artist families and wealthy men from Rivertown and the members of the Thistles and Thorns sect together with sect leader Tang stood up. They stared coldly at the dozen people walking towards Wang Xian. The atmosphere dropped below freezing point in an instant. Everyone from the Lan family looked at this scene with disbelief. All the major families, ancient martial artist families from Rivertown and the members of the Thistles and Thorns sect had all stood up with the young man. They were shocked by the development. The Lan family had initially thought that they were only here to show goodwill because of the political marriage with the Lu family. They thought that the Thistles and Thorns sect, Old Qin and the wealthy men from Rivertown were only here in hopes of getting to know the Lu family. However, they realized that they were completely wrong. They weren't here because they wanted to show goodwill to them for the political marriage with the Lu family. And they weren't there because they were wary of the Lu family. They were here for that young man. The dozen martial artists walking towards Wang Xian were stunned. They looked at the Rivertown crowd in shock as their expressions turned solemn. Just a while ago, they were still commenting that the ancient martial artist families of Rivertown and sects from the southern province were only here because of the Lu family. At this moment, those were just their wishful thoughts. They were here to get on the good books of the Lu family. Nope, they were here to go against the Lu family. Ha! Great, great! The middle-aged man beside the white-bearded old man looked hideous as he saw the crowd stand up. He stood up gradually and fixed his eyes on Wang Xian. Brat, I think I know who you are. To have such a huge influence in Rivertown and to be so young, you must be Miracle Dr. Wang, who ranks 18th on the Miracle Doctors chart. Not bad. You are pretty good, brat. However, you choose to not enjoy your bright future and instead offend our Lu family. Do you think this trash from Rivertown is sufficient to challenge our Lu family? The middle-aged man shouted out the last sentence. Rattle rattle. As the middle-aged man completed his sentence, the guests of the Lu family stood up immediately. In terms of number, they weren't inferior to the people of Rivertown. When it came to strength, they were much stronger than the crowd from Rivertown. Among the guests of the Lu family, there were 3 to 4 second-class forces. On the other hand, only Thistles and Thorns sect was a second-class force on the Rivertown side. Just a small Rivertown and yet you dare to challenge the Lu family. You guys don't know where you stand. The Lu family doesn't even need to take actions and we can easily annihilate you guys. Ha, interesting. A small Rivertown that doesn't even have a second-class force and the southern province which doesn't even have a first-class force are thinking of challenging us and the Lu family. They must be really eager to seek their own death. I'll give you guys a chance right now. Cripple that brat and throw him over. Otherwise, we will annihilate the entire Rivertown. The guests of the Lu family looked down on the group behind Wang Xian. If it was just the forces of Rivertown, they weren't wary at all. In fact, even if they included the southern province, they weren't afraid if they included the Lu family too. I'm sorry that I'm late. At this moment, a nonchalant voice sounded in the ears of everyone. Chapter 191, Annihilation, 1. I'm sorry that I'm late. A nonchalant voice sounded in the ears of everyone. Everyone was stunned as they turned their attention to the entrance at the side. It was a middle-aged man with hair that spread around his shoulders. He had a saber at his back. His fringe was concealing his eyes, but even so, a bright and fearsome radiance could be vaguely seen from his eyes. Behind that middle-aged man, dozens of followers were trailing behind him. They had the same weapons in their hands. All of them shared an extraordinary vibe that came from someone who held high positions for a long time. Who is he? A middle-aged man observed the horde of people with surprise as he displayed a puzzled look. But everyone had the same sentiment when the horde of people emerged. All of them were staring at the long-haired middle-aged man who was leading at the front. We've got more than enough people to challenge you guys. The man was obviously Maniac G. Following behind him were all formidable people from the ancient martial artist families and sects in Flow City. Maniac G might not have established any forces of his own, but he was born and lived in Flow City. He truly deserved to be the king of Flow City. Even if he did not claim to be the king, all the families and sects in Flow City recognized him as one. Maniac G's identity was similar to Wang Xian's in Rivertown. They were kings without having to proclaim themselves as such. None of the people in Flow City dared to defy his orders. Maniac G slowly lifted his chin and stared at the middle-aged man who remarked, "A small river town which doesn't even have a second-class force and the southern province which doesn't even have a first-class force were thinking of challenging them and the Lu family. They must be really eager to seek their own death." Maniac G. That middle-aged man filled his eyes with fear as he swallowed his saliva with a trembling body when he saw Maniac G staring at him nonchalantly. Maniac G, he's Maniac G. All the guests from Lu family went pale in panic. Reputation was all a person needed. Be mad, be a maniac. Do whatever it takes, Maniac G. Back then, Maniac G stooped to any means just to annihilate the entire first-class force, and this created a stir in the ancient martial arts world. Anyone who encountered this maniac would be petrified. Maniac G swept his impassive glance across those guests from Lu family as he paced his way to Wang Xian. With a bow, he shouted respectfully, "Miracle Dr. Wang. You're not late." Wang Xian had not informed Maniac G, but he was pleased to see Maniac G here. Ji Yuankuan might be known as Maniac G, but he had a strong sense of comradeship, and he was someone who kept his words. "Glad to hear that." Maniac G revealed a smile. After his son recovered, he finally found his long-lost smile. "Miracle Dr. Wang, should I annihilate Lu family?" Maniac G's voice was heard once again. When the guests from Lu family saw the chilly smile Maniac G was wearing, their foreheads broke into a cold sweat. No doubt it was Maniac G. The first thing he said was to annihilate tyrannical sword of Lu family. "Maniac G, do you want to set yourself against us?" At this time, the white-bearded old man who was sitting at the front could not take it lying down. He stood up immediately with frosty radiance flickering in his eyes. Maniac G ignored the white-bearded old man as he continued to look at Wang Xian, waiting for his reply. "Do it." Wang Xian spat out the words coldly. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha." Just then, the white-bearded old man laughed wildly. He stared at Wang Xian with a malevolent expression. "Brat, you are thinking of annihilating Lu family? What an arrogant tone. Do you think Maniac G himself could do that by himself?" The white-bearded old man continued as he glared ferociously at Maniac G. "Others may be afraid of you. But I, Lu Jingshan, am not. Do you think you can be my match?" The white-bearded old man exhibited immense confidence on his face as he spoke. 20 years ago, he had made a breakthrough and attained Inborn Realm while Maniac G had accomplished that only 5 years ago. Hence, Lu Jingshan was dauntless. "Wang Xian, damn you. Today, I'll kill you with my own hands." Lu Feiyun felt embarrassed when he saw a horde of ancient martial artist families and Maniac G led by Wang Xian. He slowly drew the sharp-edged sword with a pair of murderous eyes as he glared at Wang Xian. Today, Lu family had nothing to fear if a fight broke out. His grandfather could hold Maniac G while the rest of the guests from Lu family could cripple Wang Xian's men. "Kill me with your own hands." Wang Xian stared at Lu Feiyun coldly as he filled his eyes with an immense amount of killing intent. He swung his arm. Whoosh! At this time, 4 figures were thrown over to the side. Everyone was appalled as they quickly turned to check on the black figures. Bam! 4 black figures were thrown to the stage, making 4 thumping sounds. 4 bodies. All of them were aghast as they stared at the 4 bodies on the stage. Lu Feiyun fixed his eyes on the 4 bodies with an awful look on his face. He could even recognize them at one glance, as they were the ones who he had sent to assassinate Wang Xian last night. "How dare you send someone to kill my family and me? Ha! I must destroy Lu family." As soon as Wang Xian finished his words, a group of people, in black attire with a golden divine dragon embroidered on their chest, marched slowly towards them. There were 52 in total, including an old man and a middle-aged man at the entrance. The remaining ones were young men. As they marched over, they exuded an intense killing vibe. All of the people from Lu family varied their expressions. Every one of them stared at those black-attired people as they surrounded them. Lu Jingshan narrowed his eyes as he sensed danger brewing. He stretched out his arm and drew a honed sword as he stared at Wang Xian coldly. With a stern look, the guests from Lu family fixed their eyes on the 50 people who emerged out of nowhere. A small amount of cold sweat broke out from their faces. They were already aghast that miracle Dr. Wang could gather all the people from Rivertown. They did not expect he could gather Maniac G, let alone a group of more than 50 black-attired men who surrounded the area. They might not be aware of their strength, but they could tell that this bunch of people were not ordinary given the killing and imposing vibe they exuded. Besides, the brave act of besieging the Lu family already proved their strength. On the other hand, people from Lan family were dumbfounded and appalled as they watched the event unfold. They did not expect that the political marriage of Lan and Lu family would have such developments. Dazedly, they fixed their eyes upon that young man who had apparently engaged in some entanglement with Qingyue. Initially, they thought this young man would be easily killed by Lu family. Never did they expect things would turn out this way. Experts emerged and eventually besieged them all. They were dazzled as that young man seemed like he wanted to annihilate Lu family. These must be the forces behind him. It's much more formidable than I thought. Sect leader Tan was stunned as he looked at Maniac G and the group of black-attired men around him. But he was glad that he had made this choice. Chapter 192, Annihilation, 2. The crowd from Rivertown behind Wang Xian looked on silently. Although they knew the strength of the Dragon King, they were still slightly surprised to see the sudden appearance of Maniac G. Wang Xian smiled and looked towards the Lu family and the crowd behind them. The Lu family targeted me and I'm only going to target them. However, if you choose to take action, I wouldn't mind going on a killing spree. Wang Xian revealed a murderous look and looked at Lu Feiyun, who was on the stage. Oh, little Sword Celestial, who has inherited the will of the Sword Celestial. Let me see your true strength. Wang Xian spoke sarcastically. Behind him, a Dragonian walked directly towards Lu Feiyun. He had a young look and was younger than Lu Feiyun. Do you really think that this is your home ground and you can be so brazen? Seeing Wang Xian's confident look that seemed to have treated him as prey, Lu Jingshan revealed a cold look. He lifted the long sword in his hands slowly and spread a strong aura towards the surroundings. Bam bam bam. The cups and plates on the table rattled and made a loud sound. Members of the Lan family quickly moved to the side in horror. The crowd behind the Lu family was hesitating. Looking at the current situation, it was clear that the Lu family was the passive side. The strength of the 50-odd people that surrounded them was unknown. They didn't know how to make a decision nor did they dare to make a decision. Feeling the strong aura from old Lu, everyone's attention turned to Maniac G. As long as the battle between inborn experts was decided, the victorious side would be clear. Maniac G, I would like to see how strong you really are. If you help him this time, you will be the archenemy of the Lu family. Lu Jingshan pointed his longsword at Maniac G. Hee hee. You will be the second inborn expert that will die in my hands. Maniac G drew his longsword slowly and wasn't wary of going toe-to-toe with Lu Jingshan. It's better if you leave this to the dragon sect. A domineering voice sounded. Bang! A black aura exploded instantly and coalesced into material form. What? The strong aura shocked everyone as they looked at the old man standing at the entrance. The old man lifted his head. The surrounding black aura masked his appearance, but the horrifying aura he emitted suppressed an area spanning over 1,000 meters. A heart-wrenching power could be felt from the old man as the crowd shivered. Even Maniac G or Lu Jingshan did not give them such a strong sense of suppression. So strong. Maniac Ji's hand was shivering. He looked in shock at the old man emitting black aura as he clenched his long sword even tighter. Inborn expert. It's another inborn expert. A guest of the Lu family couldn't contain himself and exclaimed. That young man had managed to summon 2 inborn experts. Inborn. Members of the Lu family felt their hearts skipped a beat. Dull clouds cast a shadow over their minds as they stared fervently at Imo Qinglong. Lu Jingshan, who was holding a long sword in his hand, could feel perspiration breaking out of his palm as he looked at Imo Qinglong in disbelief. 2 inborn experts. They had to face 2 inborn experts while facing off against a small river town. Moreover, these 2 inborn experts were both summoned by the same young man. This. Lu Jingshan's face sank. That horrifying old man had locked onto him with his aura. He was sure that if he moved, the other party would definitely attack him. Moreover, he felt that he wouldn't be a match for this old man. This made his heart pump violently. Little Sword Celestial of the Tyrannical Sword. Sword Celestial's Inheritance. Mo Wuxia, Level 8 Martial Artist, seeking your guidance. At this moment, a Dragonian walked up to the stage. He stared coldly at Lu Feiyun. His voice instantly drew the attention of the crowd. Everyone immediately turned around and looked at the stage. At that spot, a man even younger than Lu Feiyun was standing in front of Lu Feiyun. Lu Feiyun's expressions were changing rapidly. He took a glance at the old man with terrifying aura and perspiration covered his forehead. After which, he gripped his sword tightly as he looked to the young man in front of him. Miss Lan, be careful not to be injured. At this moment, sect leader Tang moved and appeared beside Lan Qingyue. Using his internal energy to cover her, he sent her towards Wang Xian. Shao Xian, you, Lan Qingyue looked at Wang Xian, still feeling a little disheveled. I know that this isn't your own intention. Moreover, I will not let you marry a dead man today. Wang Xian smiled at Lan Qingyue and walked to her. Die. At this moment, Lu Feiyun let out a loud roar. With a hideous look, he charged towards Mo Wuxia. Mo Wuxia was unmoved. Looking at the constantly changing swordsmanship of Lu Feiyun, he extended his hand to take the attack directly. You must be courting death. Seeing Mo Wuxia was intending to use his body to take his attack directly, Lu Feiyun revealed a savage look. His swordplay turned even sharper. Bam bam bam. Sounds of metal clashing propagated. Mo Wuxia used his palm to take on the sharp sword directly before pushing forward with his entire body. This is bad. Lu Feiyun was shocked as horror filled his eyes. Bam! A palm hit Lu Feiyun heavily. Mo Wuxia followed up and stepped on Lu Feiyun with his feet as he stared coldly at him. How dare you offend the Dragon King with these meager skills? Mo Wuxia looked down on Lu Feiyun with contempt. Little Sword Celestial. Inheritance from the Sword Celestial. Trash. Lu Feiyun's eyes popped open and were filled with disbelief. This man who was even younger than him was surprisingly able to crush him easily. He had always been a proud person and even swore to make it to the top of the Outstanding Young Heroes chart. However, what happened now made him feel utterly defeated. He was one of the top 20 on the Outstanding Young Heroes chart and yet he lost to an unknown young man easily. He tilted his head and stared at the young man who was looking at him with contempt. He was the Little Sword Celestial who had received the inheritance of the Sword Celestial. He was supposed to become an inborn expert in the future. Bam! However, an intense pain cruised throughout him at this moment as he felt his consciousness slipping away from him slowly. Feiyun. Feiyun. The members of the Lu family were aghast as they looked in horror at Lu Feiyun who was lying on the elevated stage. Wang Xian looked at the members of the Lu family coldly and remarked, if one tries to kill me, I'll definitely kill him. Lu Feiyun sent people to assassinate me and my kin. I'll be returning these right now. His voice propagated to everyone's ears. Everyone in the Lu family was horrified. What he meant was that Fei Yun wanted to kill him and his family. Therefore, he would also kill Fei Yun and all his family members. Qingyue, it's going to get bloody. Let's leave this place. Wang Xian said to Lan Qingyue gently. Lan Qingyue looked at him blankly. Shortly after, tears streamed down her cheeks as she nodded her head heavily. Chapter 193, Annihilation, 3. The sun was shining. A gust of cool breeze drifted over, cooling the summer. When the cool breeze came off the engagement ceremony at Flowing Water Villa, it was a bone-piercing chill. All of them watched as the young man and girl took their leave while the black-attired men slowly closed up the blockade. You want to destroy Lu family? Lu Jingshan clenched his long sword tightly with a ghastly look as he swept his gaze across the black, imposing old man and maniac Ji. Miracle Dr. Wang cured my son. You can only blame your grandson for this. Maniac Ji drew his long saber slowly as his body gave off an immense killing aura. Ha! Unexpected. A mere miracle doctor of Rivertown could summon 2 inborn experts. What a surprise. Lu Jingshan let out distasteful laughter. Apparently, he misunderstood that the people of Dragon's sect also owed Wang Xian their favor. He swept his gaze across all the people. Destroying Lu family? I'm afraid it is not that simple. Ha! I'll wipe out your entire family instantly. Mo Qinglong looked at Lu Jingshan with a disdainful look. As he spoke, he struck. Run! Get out of here! Get out of here! Lan Family and the rest of the guests fled in all directions with fear when they saw how the situation developed. The battle of inborn experts was not something they could participate in. If they got involved, they'd either get seriously injured or die. Why didn't you tell me when such serious things like this happened to you? Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue strode to one of the rooms and turned a deaf ear to the devastating screams behind them. Why should I? Lan Qingyue looked over her shoulder and returned the question. Wang Xian drew a bitter smile on his face. It seemed like Lan Qingyue still bore grudges over his choice of Guan Shuqing. But for what you did today, I'll forgive you. Lan Qingyue hesitated as she saw his smile. But, Lu family. Leave the Lu family to them. Don't worry. I'm not afraid of them. Wang Xian chuckled and continued, we'll settle your family's affairs together. When people learn about what happened today, Lingyue sect and Zhou family wouldn't dare to play any tricks. If they did, there's nothing to fear either. Thank you, Xiao Xian. Lan Qingyue stopped and looked at him, as she was touched. Wang Xian grinned. A red wedding gown would suit you better. Wear the red one next time. Lan Qingyue slightly blushed when she heard his comment. She reached out her hands to hug him gently. Wang Xian revealed a thrilled expression as he hugged her tightly. He whispered in her ear, you must be tired from the last few days. Why don't we enjoy ourselves for a few days? I'll take you out to sea. Sure, I'll call my parents to tell them that I'm having a break for the next few days. Lan Qingyue struggled out of his hug and stretched herself. She then ran to the room next door with a beaming face and took out her phone to call her parents. Hello, Qingyue. Are you okay? Lan Qingyue's father held his phone as he watched Lu Jingshan spit out fresh blood in the air. He asked this with trepidation. Dad, I'm going out with Xiao Xian for a few days. These last few days have been tiring for me. I want to have a good rest. Lan Qingyue spoke in a joyful mood. Sure, go and have fun with Miracle Dr. Wang. You don't have to worry about anything. Lan Qingyue's father quickly agreed. Since his daughter had gotten such capable boyfriend, why the hell would they want to continue with the political marriage with Lu family? What's more, they were almost dead now. So long as they befriended Miracle Dr. Wang, Lan Family was not afraid of Zhou family and Lingyue sect. Besides, the Miracle Dr. Wang was, obviously, much easier to get along with than the Lu family. I'm done, Xian. Let's go. I want to relax for a few days. Lan Qingyue changed out of her wedding gown and came to Wang Xian with thrills all over her face. She looked like she was a little carefree girl. Let's go. We'll go out to the sea. The yacht that I bought a few days ago just arrived today, Wang Xian said with a smile. Sure, let's go to the sea. I'm going to swim, surf and fish, Lan Qingyue exclaimed with excitement. Sure, let's go. Wang Xian held her hand and went outside. Lan Qingyue was only 22 years old now, and she should not be responsible for the entire group. She should not endure a marriage that she hated. She should be learning and having fun in school without a single worry. Wow, what a beautiful villa and yacht. They took a car to the villa that sat right next to the sea. Lan Qingyue was animated as soon as she saw the villa and the yacht. I'll pick up something from the house. As Wang Xian spoke, he went into the villa and picked up swimsuits, red wine, tea leaves, and some supplies. Qingyue, let's head out to the sea. Wang Xian brought her to the yacht. What a beautiful yacht. It's much better than the one my dad bought. Lan Qingyue looked at the luxury yacht that was over 30 meters long with an ebullient expression. The yacht was divided into 2 levels. The ground floor had a sofa, kitchen, dining area, and it was quite spacious. There were 4 rooms on the second floor. A 30-meter-long yacht had a floor area that was larger than an average house. Xian, can you drive a yacht? Lan Qingyue asked as she roamed around the yacht. Ahem, I think there should be driving instructions. I'm quite smart, so there shouldn't be any problems. Driving a yacht required a license too. But Wang Xian believed he could handle it. Ha, let's do it together. Lan Qingyue followed behind Wang Xian with much interest. Wang Xian took the operating manual. He was examining the brand new yacht with a beaming face. The oil tank is full. Let's set out now. With a smiling face, Wang Xian began to operate the yacht as it sailed slowly out to the sea. Be careful, Xian. You're maneuvering it without a license. Lan Qingyue said, grinning. Ha, don't worry. Leave this to me. Let's go somewhere shallow first before we go further out. We can enjoy ourselves for the next 2 to 3 days, said Wang Xian with a smile. Sure. The yacht continued to sail across the sea. As a first-timer, Wang Xian did not dare to drive it too fast. But without knowing, he actually drove them to somewhere near the Dragon Sect Island. He hesitated and stopped the yacht. Let's stop and check out this place. Okay, I want to catch some fish. How about having fish for dinner? There is diving equipment on the yacht. We can dive and catch some lobsters for dinner. I don't dare to do that. Is the water deep over here? Will there be any sharks? Ha, how can there be? Let's go. I'll take you out for a swim. Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue changed into diving suits and dived underwater freely. Swimming, diving, and fishing. Wang Xian even caught some lobsters and crabs for dinner. Chapter 194, Fish Tornado and the Ichthyosaur. Wang Xian accompanied Lan Qingyue till 9+ at night. He had initially intended to sleep with the lady but was ruthlessly pushed out with the doors locked. Wang Xian smiled bitterly as he walked to the first floor. Walking to the deck, he looked to the faraway seas. He could sense that Lan Qingyue had fallen asleep on the second floor. She had barely slept over the last 2 days and was finally able to get a good rest today. It will at least be 10 hours before Lan Qingyue wakes up. Wang Xian thought to himself. He hesitated for a moment before removing his clothes and throwing them onto the sofa. Bam! Wang Xian leaped into the skies and dived into the seas. Moving his body, he transformed into a 6-meter-long divine dragon in an instant. Prime Minister Turtle and Roving Girl are just around the corner. Let's summon them over. Wang Xian looked around and let out a dragon roar to the surroundings. Growl! Growl! Soon, replies were heard. Wang Xian could see Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Girl, Roving Lobster and Roving Heavens with his group of devil monkeys swimming towards him. At the forefront, the 9 venomous sea snakes were the fastest as they approached Wang Xian at an astonishing speed. Greetings, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Heavens, Roving Girl, Roving Lobster and the rest bowed respectfully in front of Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at the 800 devil monkeys and could sense their improvements in strength. He couldn't help but reveal a satisfied look. Behind Prime Minister Turtle and Roving Lobster, there was a group of sea turtles and large lobsters following them. These sea turtles and lobsters looked extremely lively. The sizes of these lobsters were all around a meter and their 2 huge claws looked extremely destructive. These were all subordinates of the Prime Minister Turtle and Roving Lobster. Let's make use of the night to go deeper into further sea regions to look for resources required for leveling up. Wang Xian thought to himself. Wang Xian looked at the yacht a short distance away. He hesitated for a moment before ordering the Prime Minister Turtle, drag the yacht along. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head and swam below the yacht. Although the 30 meters long yacht was heavy, Prime Minister Turtle was able to easily drag it along on the water surface. Wang Xian was a little worried about Lan Qingyue. He went to the 2nd floor quietly and used dragon energy to calm her body and make her enter deep sleep. If there weren't huge disturbances, she would only wake up after 10 hours. Let's head towards the deeper sea region. Wang Xian dived into the seas once again and gave his orders. Wang Xian had searched the entire Bohai Sea. Up to this point, other than the huge level 12 devil flowers that weren't finished off, the other areas had been combed. The Bohai Sea wasn't big. With their speed, they only used 3 hours to reach the Yellow Sea. Wang Xian noticed a sudden and drastic change in the underwater world ahead of him. The depth of the Yellow Sea was approximately 40 meters deep on average. The deeper region could reach a depth of over 80 meters. The entire Yellow Sea was very broad and was several times the size of the Bohai Sea. At this moment, the region where Wang Xian was at was approximately 50 meters deep. This was the first time he came to such a deep sea region. Under the waters, it was pitch black at night. Seagrass was common and the variety of fish was much higher than the Bohai Sea. This place is much more comfortable. I always feel that I could barely move in the Bohai Sea. Wang Xian swayed his body within the 50 meters deep sea as he swam around freely. There's a school of sharks ahead. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and focused on the 20-odd sharks 1,000 meters away. These sharks were all 4 to 5 meters long and gave off a violent aura as they swam domineeringly in the sea. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. He got moving and swam towards the school of sharks directly. Big white sharks, level 5. Extractable dragon energy, 534. That's over 10,000 points of dragon energy from 20 sharks. Ha! This is something the Bohai Sea couldn't match up to. Wang Xian was thrilled. Sea monsters in deep waters weren't simply a myth. The resources in the entire Yellow Sea were at least a dozen or even a few dozen times more than the Bohai Sea. When my subordinates and I get stronger, I'll head to the real seas for an adventure. I wonder if there will be terrifying creatures at a depth of 10,000 feet underwater. Are there other races living in the pitch-black darkness within the seas? Are ancient marine animals still surviving at the bottom of the seas? Wang Xian was getting excited from these thoughts. The sea regions were largely unexplored by humans. In the near future, he would be exploring the entire seas and become the ruler of the seas. Wang Xian was filled with ambition. He let out a soft roar and his subordinates swam over quickly. "Let's explore the Yellow Sea," Wang Xian ordered. His gaze was fixed in front of him as he led his subordinates to conquer the unknown sea region. The seabed of the Yellow Sea wasn't too different from the Bohai Sea. Both had flat grounds and areas where it was a little more mountainous. However, the scenery of the Yellow Sea was grander and more beautiful than the Bohai Sea. Devour, devour, devour. There were many species of fish around him. There were little yellow croaker, hairtail fish, Pacific mackerel, Spanish mackerel, yellow drum fish, slender shed fish, Pacific herrings, pomfrets, codfish and many others. Moving around, Wang Xian devoured all the fish he came across. In just 2 hours, he had gained more than 17,000 points of dragon energy. Just 42,000 points of dragon energy more and I'll level up. Let's try to increase my level by the end of the night. Wang Xian thought to himself and turned his attention ahead. The area in front of him was different from the darkness of the surrounding seas. It was full of marine animals that were glowing. The glowing marine animals illuminated the bottom of the seas. Moving his body, Wang Xian headed towards it. When he approached the illuminated region, he was shocked by what he saw. Fish tornado. It's a humongous fish tornado. There were at least a few 100,000 to a few million fish gathered here and swimming in circles like a tornado under the water. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and stared fervently at this fish tornado. If I devour all the fish here, I'll gain at least a few 100,000 points of dragon energy. Wang Xian's eyes lit up and he immediately ordered, "Surround the entire school of fish." The entire fish tornado spanned over 1,000 meters. Wang Xian wasn't able to dominate the entire school with his dragon power. Moreover, he noticed that there were several unique fish species in the middle of the fish tornado. They had a terrifying size and every one of them was at least 7 to 8 meters. They also had flat heads with sharp mouths. Their mouths were approximately 2 meters long with rows of sharp teeth exposed that gave off an eerie glow. What's that fish? Wang Xian was filled with doubt. These 4 to 5 unique fish swam in the middle of the fish tornado like the kings of the school. Around them, densely packed herrings, Pacific mackerel and Spanish mackerel seemed to be honoring them as their kings. Wang Xian swayed his tail and started his hunt. This would be his first battle towards conquering the Yellow Sea. Chapter 195, Ichthyosaurs. There were thousands of species hidden in the deep sea, occupying 70% of planet Earth, and the secrets were far more than any human could imagine. The ocean has always been an unexplored area for humans. Wang Xian stared at the fish tornado before him with fervent eyes and a relaxed expression on his face. 800 devil monkeys went up slowly to surround the fish tornado. Food hunting. This was the way for any living beings to evolve. Whoever can hunt to the last would be the most powerful being remaining. Wang Xian jerked his divine dragon's body and charged out to the school of fish at a daunting speed. Dragon power. Boom. An invisible force encompassed the area, spanning 1,000 kilometers as though the king had arrived. The entire school of swirling fish suddenly froze. Wang Xian opened his mouth and devoured the school of fish before him. Herring, Pacific mackerels and Spanish mackerels converted to dragon energy in his belly at a rapid rate. Boom! The entire fish tornado was in chaos as they fled crazily in all directions. Located in the middle of the school of fish, another type of fish teetered their huge bodies as they stared at Wang Xian with a ferocious look. They swayed their tails and charged towards him. Sensing the impetus of the 5 odd-looking fish types, Wang Xian revealed a surprising look on his face. The 5 odd-looking fish were covered with layers of palm-sized fish scales which looked heavy in the water. Ichthyosaurs, Level 9. Extractable dragon energy, 49,642. Ichthyosaurs. It's the legendary Ichthyosaurs. When the 5 odd-looking fish were dashing towards him, their information appeared in Wang Xian's mind. Ichthyosaurs belonged to an ancient fish group. According to the current historical study, they could have even existed way before the dinosaurs. Based on the records, a large Ichthyosaurs could reach more than 20 meters long. The current 5 Ichthyosaurs before him were only about 10 meters. 5 Ichthyosaurs could provide me with more than 200,000 points of dragon energy. Not bad. Wang Xian was thrilled as he launched an attack at the 5 Ichthyosaurs without any fear. Bam! A Ichthyosaur swam fast and furiously towards him with a gaping mouth that was 3 meters wide. Within its mouth, it was densely packed with teeth that looked terrifying. Ka ka ka. Wang Xian stretched out his metal-like dragon claw which scratched the top of that Ichthyosaur's mouth. Hiss. The razor-edged dragon claw ripped the mouth of the Ichthyosaurs. Blood splattered in all directions. Growl. Upon seeing that Wang Xian had wounded their companion, the other 4 Ichthyosaurs opened their mouths and attempted to bite him. Grrr. Wang Xian swung his tail, shaking the surroundings violently. Soon after, 4 solidified water balloons appeared at his tail. Each of them was 1 meter in size, giving off an emerald blue luster in the sea. Bam, 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 bam. 4 water balloons emerged in front of the 4 Ichthyosaurs instantly and landed in their mouths. Boom! The water balloons exploded, and the 4 Ichthyosaurs were dripping blood from their mouths. Wang Xian stretched out his dragon claw at one of the Ichthyosaurs again. SSS. Another sound of a tear was heard. Given Wang Xian's current level, he possessed the same strength as an average level 11 marine animal. 5 Ichthyosaurs were under his brutal torture. I don't have time to waste on you. Wang Xian saw millions of fish fleeing away in all directions. Even with 800 devil monkeys surrounding the area, many fish still managed to make their escape. He made a swift move and inflicted severe damage to the 4 Ichthyosaurs. He then moved around to devour the escaping fish. Dragon power encompassed the area as he swallowed the fish and converted them into dragon energy. After half an hour, there were no more fish left, only dead silence. Wang Xian made a swift move and came to the 5 Ichthyosaurs. They were bigger than Wang Xian by many times with 10-meter-long bodies. He opened his mouth and fed on the Ichthyosaurs. He only managed to swallow them all after chewing a dozen times. My dragon energy increased by 300,000 points instantly. I still need about 100,000 points before I can hit level 7. Wang Xian revealed his thrill. The higher level he got to, the better he could manage his control of the 5 elements. His strength would get stronger too. A level up was not solely about upgrading strength. It was more than that. Let's go. I must level up to 7 by the end of today. Wang Xian commanded his subordinates and swam forward. The surroundings were full of kelp while some glowing jellyfish were floating around. The sea was not as dark as it seemed at a depth of 50 meters deep. In the ocean, those deep waters with thousands of meters of depth were the place where darkness stayed. Sunlight could only reach hundreds of meters. How wonderful it would be if I could find other Ichthyosaurs. Wang Xian had been swimming forward. Probably due to the fish tornado, the number of fish within dozens of miles was significantly reduced. What's that? A shipwreck? I mean a bunch of shipwrecks. Wang Xian was slightly stupefied by a large number of shipwrecks in front of him. The sails were broken, lying around disorderly in the sea. Some of the ships had half of their bodies caught at the bottom of the seabed. Furthermore, Wang Xian noticed some strange plants were growing on some of the ships. It was rather peculiar. There's something strange about the place before us. Just then, Wang Xian narrowed his eyes. He peered at the front, then to the back. Both of them gave him a different vibe as though they were two distinct regions. Dragon King, it's the territory of other creatures ahead of us. Roving Heavens took his rod to Wang Xian and told Wang Xian with wary eyes, gazing at the place before them. Territory of other creatures? Wang Xian looked at Roving Heavens with some doubts. There are many creatures in the ocean. They will gather and occupy a region. Based on the size of the region, it will reflect the strength of the group. Roving Heavens observed the place ahead and said with a stern look, the region ahead is not any smaller than our devil monkeys. Since other marine life does not dare to come close, it means that a dominant race exists in this place. Oh. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. Most of the living creatures were living in groups. They could occupy one place and rule the land. Same logic for the ocean. An eerie silence filled the area ahead. Obviously, it was the territory of a race. The battle of territory? Wang Xian looked behind as the devil monkeys gathered behind him. Prime Minister Turtle pulled the yacht to the side and came to the bottom of the sea. Roving Girl and Roving Lobster were gazing ahead. We fight. Forward. Wang Xian was also bursting with fighting spirit as he swam slowly forward. Roving Heavens, Prime Minister Turtle, 9 venomous sea snakes, and the 800 devil monkeys were following solemnly behind him as they marched towards the region. Who dares to step into the Ichthyosaurs family's territory? Just then, a muffled voice was heard. The voice was not human, but a unique transmission through spirits. Wang Xian could understand such spirit waves. He stopped and looked ahead. Roving Heavens and the rest stopped their motions too. A gigantic Ichthyosaur, 15 meters long, floated out from one of the shipwrecks with a domineering demeanor. Chapter 196, War. Get out of our territory or die. This Ichthyosaur had its attention fixed on Wang Xian and his subordinates. His gaze was cold and filled with bloodlust. So strong. It's much stronger than the 5 Ichthyosaurs we met previously. Feeling the aura from the Ichthyosaur, Wang Xian was a little shocked. This Ichthyosaur had clearly manifested intelligence and its level would definitely not be any lower than 10. It had a huge body that spanned 15 meters and gave off chilly vibes. Surrender or die. Wang Xian stared at that Ichthyosaur and growled. Growl, growl, growl. When Ichthyosaur heard Wang Xian, it immediately lifted his head and let out 3 cries. Waves emitted from his mouth and propagated to the surroundings. At that instant, the quiet region seemed to have livened up. In a sunken ship a small distance away, 2 Ichthyosaurs that were approximately 3 to 4 meters long swam out. From a 40-50 meter long sunken ship, an Ichthyosaur that spanned over 10 meters swam out. At the same time, Ichthyosaurs swam out from various sunken ships in the surroundings. Among them, the smallest was 2 to 3 meters long while the larger ones spanned 15 to 16 meters. At the very end, a 17 to 18 meters long Ichthyosaur swam out from the depth of the waters. Gradually, the school of Ichthyosaurs appeared at the location 500 meters ahead of Wang Xian. Ichthyosaurs of various sizes added up to 600 to 700 of them. Among them, there were 20 to 30 of them that were approximately 10 meters long, 3 that were approximately 15 meters and 1 that was 17 to 18 meters long. How dare you barge into our territory? I'm going to eat you. That 17 to 18 meters long Ichthyosaur stared fervently at Wang Xian. It could feel a strong attraction from Wang Xian. Its instincts were telling him that if he could devour this strange creature, it would be able to evolve further. Kill! That huge Ichthyosaur swayed its large tail and ordered. In that instant, all the Ichthyosaurs opened their wide mouths and attacked Wang Xian. How ruthless of them to attack us directly. Seeing the 17 to 18 meters long Ichthyosaur, Wang Xian moved his tail slowly. Kill! A dragon roar burst from Wang Xian. Growl! Roving Heavens lifted the rod in his hand and let out a long roar. Growl. The group of devil monkeys behind it also let out a loud roar while emitting their bloodlust. SSS SSS SSS. The 9 venomous sea snakes lifted their heads and spat out their tongues. Bzzz. Prime Minister Turtle, who had been lying on the seabed, shook a little as his body was covered by the mud gradually. Roving Lobster stood up and extended his huge claws that glowed with a metallic shine. Bang! Wang Xian headed for the Ichthyosaur directly ahead of him. Behind him, roving heavens, 9 venomous sea snakes, Prime Minister Turtle and the group of devil monkeys also made their moves. There were over 1,000 animals from both sides, but the aura they gave off seemed to be 10 times their sizes. Swish swish swish. Wang Xian swayed his tail and 2 huge water balls gathered behind him. Each water ball was approximately 2 meters and was shot directly at the Ichthyosaur at the front of the school. I'm going to devour you. The 17 to 18 meters long Ichthyosaur wasn't moved by Wang Xian's attacks at all. It flapped its tail rapidly and swam past Wang Xian's head directly. Bam! The water balls exploded. Ichthyosaur, Level 11. Extractable Dragon Energy, 293,244. Level 11. When Wang Xian saw the level of this Ichthyosaur, he wasn't surprised at all. He kept his composure as his dragon claws glowed in a metallic shine and attacked that Ichthyosaur. The 17 to 18 meters long Ichthyosaur had a head that was 5 to 6 meters long. On it, densely packed teeth were the size of a fist and looked extremely sharp. Its entire head had similar skin to a crocodile with protruding portions on the head. Its size was more than 3 times that of Wang Xian. Growl. Bam. Sounds of collision propagated as Wang Xian's dragon claws clashed with its mouth. Its teeth were ripped off directly by Wang Xian's dragon claw. The Ichthyosaur didn't let go of Wang Xian's dragon claws. In response, Wang Xian emitted flames from his claws and forced it to relax its grip rapidly. Take this rod from me. At this moment, Roving Heavens and the rest were clashing with the school of Ichthyosaurs. Roving Heavens lifted its metal rod like the great sage equaling heaven in television shows and smashed directly at the 15 meters long Ichthyosaur. Limitless Gravel. At the bottom of the seas, a wave of yellow earth suddenly engulfed the dozen Ichthyosaurs ahead. Amidst the yellow earth were solid stones that were sent towards the school of Ichthyosaur directly. Water control, water imprisonment. Behind the group, Roving Girl moved her palms as ropes of water restricted the mouths of the Ichthyosaurs. As she waved her hands, droplets of water appended themselves to the devil monkeys rushing towards the earth sent by Prime Minister Turtle and prevented their vision from being blurred by the yellow earth. 800 devil monkeys leaped and attacked towards the Ichthyosaurs. However, the most horrifying of them all were the 9 venomous sea snakes. Their speed was astonishing and they used potent venom. When moving at full speed, the surrounding Ichthyosaurs couldn't keep up with their speed at all. With every bite, venom was injected into the Ichthyosaurs that stiffened their bodies. In fact, Ichthyosaurs that were smaller than 10 meters were poisoned to death directly. The 9 venomous sea snakes were like assassins and were extremely frightening. You guys are seeking your own deaths. Picking up the scent of blood from the surroundings, the 17 to 18 meters long Ichthyosaur looked over and saw its kind being slain. Its eyes gradually turned red. It was a creepy shade of red that had a drop of blue liquid within it. Wang Xian was shocked to see the change in the eyes of the Ichthyosaur and increased his alertness. Growl. The Ichthyosaur stared at Wang Xian with bloodthirst as it attacked him. Wang Xian kept his composure and met it with his dragon claws. Bang! At this moment, the Ichthyosaur initiated the attack with its tail. The swing of its tail brought strong current that was of at least several tons of force. Wang Xian was unmoved and swayed his own tail. A huge current started forming as it smashed towards the Ichthyosaur's tail. Growl. Seeing that its tail attack was stopped by Wang Xian, the Ichthyosaur opened its mouth and bit towards Wang Xian's body. Die! Wang Xian waved his dragon's claws downwards towards the large and extended jaws of the Ichthyosaur. Ka ka ka! Wang Xian's dragon claws opened a long wound on the Ichthyosaur's head. However, the Ichthyosaur managed to bite onto his tail. An intense pain sensation cruised in his body. Wang Xian immediately broke free and swam backwards. The Ichthyosaur felt the pain and retreated in a hurry. Why did the Ichthyosaur choose to bite my tail of all places? Seeing his dragon tail that was about to break into two, Wang Xian's face sank. Energy of the azure dragon covered his wounds on his tail and he was recovering gradually. Wang Xian looked at the Ichthyosaur and noticed the blood-red eyes were shimmering in a brighter glow as it stared intensely at him. Chapter 197, Victory. The eyes of the Ichthyosaur must have a special ability. Wang Xian stared at its eyes. Somehow he had a feeling of getting seen through by them. It was a peculiar kind of feeling. It was as though it could see his weakness and attack it. When the creatures hit level 10 and 11, they will develop their own special ability. In particular, level 11, as they would definitely possess their own ability for sure. Wang Xian pondered. Level 10 was already an inborn expert while level 11 was considered to be a realm above inborn realm. This was beyond an average human's scope since they possessed unique means. The Ichthyosaur in front had a special pair of eyes which could spot any weaknesses. Roar! Just when Wang Xian was having his thoughts, the Ichthyosaur relaunched its attack. The gigantic mouth tried to bite his tail again. Due to the difference in mass, Wang Xian had difficulties dodging it. Looking for my weakness? Wang Xian squinted his eyes. With a violent jerk, the colors on his body began to change. Eventually, he turned to a metallic, golden divine dragon. His entire body was gold, giving off a faint metallic shine in the sea. Metal divine dragon had a weaker defense, but a more powerful attack than the earth divine dragon. When the Ichthyosaur saw the transformation of Wang Xian, it revealed a shock in its eyes. Through its vision, it was shocked to find out that the fellow before it seemed like a piece of metal without any weaknesses. Even his eyes were golden pupils. All the body parts were indestructible. Sure enough. This Ichthyosaur must have read the weakness on me. Wang Xian observed the expression of the Ichthyosaur and spoke to himself. He stretched out his dragon claw, opened his golden dragon mouth, and launched an attack. Bam! To meet force with force was the most primitive way of combating. But as soon as Wang Xian attacked, there was a sharp radiance of 1 meter long extending out from his pair of dragon claws. He slashed it at the Ichthyosaur. Hiss! The razor-sharp metal aura enveloped and cut the body of the Ichthyosaur, leaving wounds of 1 meter long on its body. Wang Xian displayed a cold look as he stared at Ichthyosaur with wariness. His body swayed as he was ready to strike again at any time. Roar! The Ichthyosaur roared with rage. Growl! At this time, devastating shrieks were heard from the side. That Ichthyosaur was shocked as he began to observe the surroundings. Suddenly, he realized that 3 15 meters long Ichthyosaurs were falling apart under the joint attack of roving heavens, Prime Minister Turtle and 9 venomous sea snakes. All of them were wounded, and blood was everywhere. Those 10-meter-long Ichthyosaurs were attacked by 2-meter-sized lobsters which were gleaming with a metallic glow from head to toe. They were wielding their pincers in the assault. Half of the smaller ones were either wounded or killed. The bunch of devil monkeys gave off demonic flames, accompanied by fearsome attacks. Their bodies were covered by black scales which looked extremely creepy. Every devil monkey looked more like a hideous devil. Roar! The 17-meter-long Ichthyosaur let out a mournful growl. His eyes got redder, and his body exuded icy cold luster as he glared at Wang Xian. Hee hee, I can upgrade my level after I eat you up. Wang Xian also returned him a pair of cold stares. Dragon King. Dragon King. Just then, Prime Minister Turtle swam slowly below him. Roving Heavens came to the left while the 9 venomous sea snakes were swimming around him. All of them were staring at the 17-meter-long Ichthyosaur. Kill it. Wang Xian immediately issued orders. Prime Minister Turtle took the first move to make a group of earth thorns slowly surface on the water, swiftly launching an attack with it. Roving Heavens swung his rod in his hand and smashed the Ichthyosaur. 9 venomous sea snakes moved at a frightening speed and darted out. Wang Xian was moving his tail as he exuded a metallic aura. Roar! The Ichthyosaur was petrified as it could not resist the most vigorous assault from the Dragon Palace. Bam, bam, bam. Blood splattered as Roving Heavens swung his rod hard on the head of the Ichthyosaur. Wang Xian made a swift move and bit the Ichthyosaur's body as he swallowed it in big gulps. A mouthful of flesh and blood turned into immense dragon energy. Growl! The Ichthyosaur let out a despairing scream before its vitality quickly disappeared. Wang Xian swallowed the 17-meter-long Ichthyosaur, weighing dozens of tons, entirely in a minute. His dragon claws grabbed the pair of Ichthyosaur's eyeballs and continued to devour other Ichthyosaurs around him, ignoring the system notifications and the increase in his body mass. Dragon energy was rising at a crazy speed. The battle of the races often brings massive benefits to the ones who win the victory. After Wang Xian devoured more than hundreds of Ichthyosaurs, his dragon energy increased to more than 1 million points. Currently, his body grew to 7 meters long. Name, Wang Xian. Race, 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level, 7, dragon energy, 1, 563, 421/10, 000000. Superpower, dominate the marine animals, ability to rule any marine animals that are lower than the existing level. Devour any form of marine animals, for extraction of dragon energy. 5 elements control. Art of cultivation, divine dragon transformation. Finally, I promoted my level. Wang Xian looked at his own attributes and was thrilled about it. He rocked his body as he felt the mightiness from the divine dragon body. Now, it should be a lot easier to deal with that Ichthyosaur. I can even fight level 12 creatures. Wang Xian thought to himself. He transformed himself into a 5-colored divine dragon. Wang Xian glanced around and noticed a bunch of devil monkeys chewing the smaller Ichthyosaurs' dead bodies. He ignored them. This is the law of the jungle. Devouring some powerful creatures could enhance some strength and bring about many benefits. Wang Xian swam towards the shipwrecks ahead of him. He breathed out Earth Dragon aura from his mouth, unveiling all the shipwrecks in front of him. Treasure. When he saw the chests in it, he was exhilarated. With his claw, he opened it immediately. Unfortunately, they contained calligraphy and paintings which had already turned into scraps. He opened another chest and found silver inside. Silver. Just nice, we're short on that. Wang Xian was satisfied with his find. Just then, the system notification arrived. He pondered before he collected all the silver. He continued to search the rest of the shipwrecks and found silver in the chests and a small portion of gold. These plants. Wang Xian came to the plants which he had noticed when he arrived here just now. The plants grew on the ships, glistening and looking alluring. They were very eye-catching. 5 tufts were found on the central shipwreck, another 5 to 6 tufts were located at the side. When he arrived before these plants, a message appeared in his brain. Fish secretion grass, level 5. Extractable dragon energy, 7,657. Level 5 spiritual medicines. They are level 5 spiritual medicines. No wonder the Ichthyosaurs marked this place as their territory. It was all for the level 5 spiritual medicines. Wang Xian displayed slight surprise as he swam forward and picked the tufts of fish secretion grass up. With curiosity, he opened up the chest under the fish secretion grass and found some spoilt herbs in it. These fish secretion grasses must have been formed after the ships sank in the sea along with the gold, silver, and spiritual medicines a few thousand years ago. Dragon King, 25 devil monkeys died and there were 108 casualties in this battle. At this moment, roving heavens came over and reported respectfully. We had more than 10 deaths. Wang Xian nodded his head. In wars, death is inevitable. The deaths of 25 devil monkeys was considered little. Wang Xian realized a problem after the battle just now. It was about war formation. Devil monkeys were the main force as the forward. Hence, it was inevitable to have deaths and casualties during close combat. But the Clam Girl's performance surprised him. The Clam Girl's long-range assistance could bring significant advantages to the devil monkeys who would engage in close combat. In the future, the 9 divisions of the Divine Dragon will create a formation. The Devil Division will be the forward. We need to have an auxiliary division, a long-range attack division, and a defense division, just like the assistants, tankers, supports, mages, and scouts in a game. Wang Xian thought to himself. The 9 divisions of the Divine Dragon would be developing in this direction. The recruitment of subordinates would be in this direction as well. Hence, the Ichthyosaurs with bulky attacks were not in his consideration. Chapter 198, Luxurious Cruise. Splash! Emerging from the seas, Wang Xian landed on the deck of the yacht with a smile. The sun had just risen. The rosy red sunlight shone on the surface of the seas, creating an exceptionally beautiful scene. Since leveling up, the disposition of a supreme ruler on Wang Xian became even denser. Each action of his was filled with noble airs. He wore his clothes and took a glance at the time. It was already 8+ in the morning. Sensing that Lan Qingyue was still asleep, he went to the kitchen and took out a piece of ichthyosaur meat. The meat was clear and had the aroma of meat. As the flesh of a level 10 marine animal, not only was it delicious but it was also highly nourishing to the body. Wang Xian sliced the fish and prepared some condiments. After which, he took out a bottle of red wine before heading to the second floor with a radiant smile. Qingyue, it's time to get up. What time is it now? A lazy voice sounded from the room. It's already past 8 in the morning and the sun has risen. Get up and have breakfast. Wang Xian replied with a grin. All right, Xian. I'll be down in a short while. Wang Xian returned to the kitchen and tidied the dining table. Wow, Xian. You have already made breakfast. When Lan Qingyue saw the food on the table as she walked down the stairs, her eyes lit up and she walked over cheerfully. Of course. Have some delicious sashimi. You definitely haven't eaten such delicious sashimi previously. Wang Xian replied in a gentlemanly manner. The weather is great outside. Having breakfast here is such a luxury. Lan Qingyue looked at the seas that were dyed red from the rays of the sun and was intoxicated by the scene. Have a little red wine, have some sashimi and a sunny side up. Wang Xian passed the food over and spoke with a smile. Thank you, Xian. What is this fish? It tastes so much better than Atlantic bluefin marlin. It's so delicious. Lan Qingyue looked at Wang Xian heartily and bliss was written all over her face. Wang Xian smiled and made up an answer. After finishing her breakfast, Lan Qingyue walked to the deck and observed the surroundings. Suddenly, she asked inquisitively, Xian. Where are we? Where's the island that was near us last night? After you had fallen asleep yesterday, I steered it for a long time. Even I do not know where we are now. Let's just take things as they come. Wang Xian laughed and took a glance at the global positioning system through his phone. This. When Wang Xian saw where they were at, he was shocked. It seems like I have steered the ship to the public seas unknowingly. Wang Xian commented in shock. The public seas referred to regions that weren't supervised by any country. Public seas. Xiao Xian, you actually steered the ship for over 100 miles. That's pretty incredible. Lan Qingyue felt a little speechless with Wang Xian. Wang Xian laughed. It wasn't he who had steered the ship for over 100 miles. Instead, it was Prime Minister Turtle who had dragged the ship for over 100 miles. However, he naturally wouldn't tell Lan Qingyue about this. In the future, he might tell Lan Qingyue about his other identity. However, this wasn't the right time. The public seas aren't bad too since we are still going to tour around for another 2 days. Lan Qingyue smiled and asked, Xiao Xian, do you have a computer? What do you need a computer for? I have to check on some things for the company. You finally got out. Why are you concerned about the company now? Have a good time and you can worry about it when we get back. Wang Xian walked to her. This wouldn't do. In a few days, Jade Nation will have a jade betting festival. At that time, I have to head to Jade Nation to purchase jade stones. Lan Qingyue explained to Wang Xian. I don't have a computer. Therefore, I guess it's better if you just relax over the next 2 days. Wang Xian smiled and looked at her. Lan Qingyue pouted. Suddenly, something caught her eyes as she exclaimed, Xiao Xian, look. There's a huge cruise right there. There really is a cruise. Wang Xian looked over and indeed saw a cruise 500 to 600 meters away from him. The cruise ship was approximately 150 meters long and had 3 floors. It also looked extremely luxurious. What really surprised him was that the cruise ship was docked in the middle of the sea and surrounded by various yachts. That's the Venture, a public sea cruise of the gambling city. I heard that they have a casino on it with all kinds of interesting games and food. Lan Qingyue was shocked to see the cruise. Venture. Public sea cruise. Casino. Wang Xian looked on in astonishment. Yeah, I heard it from my parents. The truth is that there are in fact a lot of such gaming cruises in the public seas. Since it could cruise through the seas, it is natural that gambling is made possible on it. I heard that their services are pretty good, Lan Qingyue explained to Wang Xian. Oh, is it? Should we go take a look? Wang Xian hesitated for a moment. He looked to the surrounding yachts before asking. Sure. Some wealthy people steer their own yacht over since they might prefer to not follow the cruise. Why don't we go over? There should be a computer for use on the cruise. Lan Qingyue was also a little interested. Alright, let's head there and take a look. This was also the first time Wang Xian heard of such cruises. He immediately nodded his head and steered the yacht towards the cruise. Stop your yacht on the seas. We will send a small boat over to receive you. Just as the yacht approached, the service attendant on the cruise shouted loudly at them to remind them. Wang Xian stopped the yacht and looked around him. Around the cruise, there was a special area marked out by nets as a swimming area. One could swim within the area without being wary about dangers. The safety precautions were ample and well done. What a thoughtful gaming facility. Wang Xian thought to himself. At this moment, a small boat approached them. Let's go, Xiao Xian. Lan Qingyue said to Wang Xian. The two of them jumped onto the small boat and boarded the cruise. Welcome to the Venture Cruise. Once they got onto the cruise, 2 beautiful waitresses welcomed them with radiant smiles. The floor was layered with red carpet and looked extremely grandiose. Wang Xian took out several $100 bills as tips for the service attendants around him before heading in. Hi, sir and miss, the first floor of our cruise is the gaming area. The second floor is where various entertainment facilities are located, while the third floor is where the rooms for our guests are. Once you get in, there will be guides dedicated to you. The service attendants smiled as they explained to them. Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue nodded their heads. Why don't we go have some fun on the first floor? This was the first time Wang Xian was in such a place, and he was thrilled as he asked Lan Qingyue. All right. Lan Qingyue nodded her head, and the two of them headed towards the entrance of the gaming area on the first floor. Once they entered, they noticed the grand decorations immediately. The entire floor was very spacious and spanned several thousand square meters. There were various gaming tables and machines available. To their surprise, the first floor had 300 to 400 people playing all kinds of games. Wang Xian looked ahead and saw things that he had only seen in movies. He rubbed his hands and got a little excited. Let's go test out our luck. Wang Xian smiled and said to Lan Qingyue. You can play. I'll just accompany you. Lan Qingyue replied with a smile. Great, let's go then. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.